did just a little.
Yeah.
Oh, we went live while we were talking about.
There's
Oh,
Colin.
there's Colin.
Wow.
Colin, you were not late at all. Oh
I
my
know.
God.
I made it just in time.
Yes, you did.
And
And
there's
I was.
Ben.
Hi.
Hey, Ben.
Hello.
I wanted
Everybody.
to open this up by saying that it's possible I might have to duck out a time or two during the stream because my husband's on his way to Mexico, and he's almost at Brownsville, so he's going to need me to like reserve a room for him and then maybe talk him, like direct him to where
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have family in Brownsville over the weekend.
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
It's like my cousin-in-law, his family is there, and they're down there for Christmas. It's like that's the one right on the border, right?
Yes, right across from Matamoros, which is where he'll be crossing tomorrow. If everything goes away. His first time going back home in almost 10 years.
Wow. Does he live far into the country or
no? Just in the northern state of Tamaulipas, which is right across the border, down a little bit into the state, maybe about 2 or 3 hours or so.
So he drove there and back.
Yes, he's driving. Well, I think he might take a bus back because he's going to leave his vehicle there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he took the van. He's going to leave the van there, give it to his family.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to, like, in case I just am all of a sudden gone, I'm just going to leave the studio and deal with that. So, but y'all just keep, like, don't stop or anything.
Okay.
The discussion or anything like that.
So, final year of the 2000s.
Yeah.
2009.
Yep.
Right?
I got to say, this has been a very good decade for, like, entertainment.
Yep. They saved the best for last.
You think? Oh, well, I know where you're going with that.
The last month of the decade is when the best movie came out.
I'm gonna have to warn you guys. Simon, Derek, Ben, Colin is obsessed with Avatar.
I love Avatar. I saw Way of Water second time today, and I watched the first one again last night in preparation. So I watched them both twice this week. And I think
how was the new Avatar?
I think it's really good. I don't think it's as good as the first one. And I think part of that, to be real brief if I can, is that the first one he wrote is like one movie, and he hope, if it does good, he'll write more. But the second one, he wrote 4 scripts in a row because they're filming it back to back like Lord of the Rings. And this one really feels like I want the sequels. Like there was stuff in this story that didn't pay off in this movie that I feel like it's going to pay off in future movies, which is cool that they're setting it up for a longer. But that I feel like this movie on its own isn't as awesome as the first one because it's kind of planting. No spoilers, but in general sense, it's going to be the stuff they're planting in this thing. I don't think is going to pay off until 3 or maybe even 4 or 5. But
maybe 10 years down the line.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's a good thing and a bad thing. So the good thing is that we're guaranteed to get the sequels, at least one more in 2 more years instead of maybe in 10 years.
Or maybe 20 years.
Because he's already filmed most of 3. 3's already mostly done. So that we'll definitely see that. And I think it'll be good to see. I'm excited for the sequel, I'll say. Because there's definitely
make about 50 of those things.
Who knows? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had a feeling you were going to like it. No, I just have no luck.
Since we're speaking about Avatar, that was number 1, like high grossing film of the year 2009.
Of all time at that point.
Yeah.
Domestic and world.
I think that was the first film that, I know for me, it was the first time I saw a 3D film in theaters. And,
yeah, me too.
Oh, really?
It was kind of like, I remember it was just one of those wow moments, like when the first time I saw things like floating, where my heart was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. And of course, you never can replicate that, but I think I always wondered if Avatar, if it didn't have the 3D element, if it would have, got its hook so much into people, because I liked it. It was good, but I know at the time it was pretty groundbreaking in that sense.
I think made it.
Yeah, one thing I noticed and appreciated about it, even though I really hate the movie and I think it's completely overrated, and I'm just so pissed at James Cameron just in general lately. But one thing I appreciated about it was that was one of the first 3Ds that didn't make me feel sick to my stomach.
Oh, did we see that in 3D? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, we did. Because I remember I was a bit apprehensive because 3D often makes me feel nauseated. Remember how sick we got when we watched the Polar Express?
Oh,
We
yeah,
ended
I
up in the
remember that.
bathroom, kind of having to.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, yeah, it was my first experience too, and it also I thought it was just breathtaking. I was amazed by the 3D in that movie. It was way better than I thought it would be, and I had to go see it like 3 times.
I mean, the story, like, what I remember is that I thought it was pretty good, but you know, I kind of just after a few years, it's like, you know, time passes and you move on to other better things, I guess. I thought the visuals looked nice and all that, but I feel like the story was kind of irrelevant. It's more of like the quality of the movie that was the focus, I think. But
yeah, the
that's just me.
technical, yeah, like the 3D and stuff like that. Yeah.
Had a really good cast too. I mean, like it really was stacked with good, capable actors. I remember Stephen Lang. I always knew who he was, but it was like I think that was the first time I saw him get like a lot of like everyman, like kind of common passive film goers actually paid attention to who Stephen Lang.
Same. Yeah, that was the first time I paid attention to him as an actor.
Yeah, he's
in Avatar.
He's my favorite character in the movie. I think he's a scene stealer. Like so many of the best scenes are his character being just badass. Like, yeah, and I really, Stephen. I didn't know who he was till that movie, and yeah, I'm really glad they brought him back for the second one. And he's a great part of the first one.
He's been in a lot of stuff over the years, man. He was even in Gods and Generals. He played one of the Confederate. He was in that one, and that was a huge epic, and it got like no notice, and which was a shame. But yeah, he's a good actor. I like that he didn't. I don't think he wore shirt sleeves the whole movie, right?
Yeah,
was he in a tank top? Yeah,
he was built. Yeah,
he was still built in that horror movie that he played in. What was it called?
Yeah.
The blind guy.
A few years ago, the
Or
one a
just
few years,
Here in the
where he was blind. I
He
mean,
was blind in a home invasion.
yeah, in that movie. Speaking of him though, he was the one who narrated Arnold Schwarzenegger's Total Recall autobiography.
Oh,
Stephen Lang. Yeah, I mean he did fine. Yeah, that's the name of it. Don't Breathe. That's right. He did fine. I just still wish Arnold would have done it himself.
Yeah, because we want to hear his accent.
I want to hear his voice.
That would be crazy if Arnold played Colonel's role. I wouldn't want him to because I think Stephen Lang nailed it. But the way he brought back Sigourney Weaver for a big role in the first one and the second one, I think it would be like. I wonder if he thought about having Arnold in the Colonel's role. It's like, Arnold, you want to do this? He's like, nah. It's like, okay, I'll get someone else.
Who the heck
Arnold's
knows?
turned much down these days. He's kind of, you know, he's the only reason that he was in the last Terminator was because of James Cameron.
Yeah, you're right. He probably would have done it, right, if James asked him. Yeah. Who knows? But I honestly think I love the story of Avatar. I think I've rewatched it twice this week, and I feel like I like it even more. The more I've watched it, the more I'm just like, this is like, it might be my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, no.
It really, I think I'm just like a big kid, and I really just like the animals and the being out in nature. I was trying to describe it. I think like it really, the first one especially, it has this tone of wonder, like a tone of wonder that I think is really consistent throughout the movie. And I think that is part of what I really like about it. Just the visuals and the color.
I mean, the acting was fine and all that. I think the only scene that I liked in that movie was probably when the brother of the main what's her name, the one that falls in love with the guy.
The Stute.
Yeah. Like her brother. My favorite scene in that movie, and it's the only one, is probably when he gets on that chopper and starts like killing off those soldiers. He takes most of them with him before he gets shot.
So, Colin, were you one of those people who went into a state of depression after the movie wasn't in theaters anymore because you missed Pandora so much?
No, but my friends made fun of me because they would remind me that I said this after the first one.
Okay.
Because I guess I don't even remember saying it, but they reminded me that. I was like, I don't ever want to not be watching Avatar. I just want to live in Pandora for a while. Like, I was so happy, and then it would end, so I had to keep going back. And
okay, so you were one of those people.
I don't know if I was. I found out about that late. Like, I never been big in like internet trends or joining or being in social media, so I don't think I even like. I read about that later, and I was like, I get it. Like, I totally get it, but I wouldn't say I got depressed. I just played video games.
You
know?
just played it, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, that's exactly what Colin did, especially with the second one.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I got some edibles. I ate a lot of edibles this time around. I wasn't able to do that the first time, but it was very nice. it was good. That's the way to do it.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah, Avatar, number 1. It triggers sin so much.
Yes, it triggers me. It triggers me so much.
Is there a thing you hate the most about it?
That it is totally overrated, and that that the plot is just basically Dances with Smurfs. That's what I called it ever since I saw it. It's just there is no real substance or depth to it to me. It's just certainly nothing that really grabbed my attention and appreciation as much as his Terminator 2 or even True Lies or The Terminator. So yeah, just overrated, and I hated that he kept re-releasing it, and then he re-released it after Endgame beat it so that it would beat Endgame. It's like, James Cameron, you asshole. You asshole.
So basically, the story though.
Yeah, the story. No real issues as far as the visuals, because yes, that was very pretty and very well done. But just I feel like that's the only thing that props that movie up. Yes. And to me, that's not enough to make a good movie. Just it's basically like what I said about The Green Knight. You know, that had stunning visuals and wonderful acting and everything, but the movie to me sucked huge. And I remember saying in my countdown of the, my top films last year that, beautiful cinematography and great acting does not a good movie make. And that's exactly what I feel about. That's exactly how I feel about Avatar. It's just so overrated.
I just like seeing Sin just get all get over like.
Well, I'm also really pissed at James Cameron for the past few years. I have been mad at him since he lied about Dark Fate.
Oh, did you hear he's thinking on rebooting Terminator?
Oh, shh.
That's what he said. That's
just
what I saw an
except
article.
without
not,
the bad AIs. Like, that's the whole point of Terminator.
I think James Cameron is he's maybe my favorite. I think James Cameron won Hollywood. I think if Hollywood was a game, he won the game. I
guess he did, but just he as a person is just really wearing thin on me, like super thin. He says some of the dumbest stuff.
I think the days of his great movie making is probably, well, for me it's pretty much done. Like Terminator, and then of course True Lies.
I think that was his last great movie as far as I'm concerned. True Lies.
I never watched Titanic. I only saw the part where it sank.
That's the best part.
It's pretty accurate to history, how it sank.
That part was done well, yes.
So he can do. I know he's a good director, but the problem is he's all focused on this whole series of Avatar, which is well, can't you maybe try to spread your creation somewhere else, possibly maybe do something else instead of this whole new continuing on a thing that's been out since 2009. And I was kind of thinking, well, you know how the hype is there when it comes out, but since this latest movie that came out several years after the first one, the hype kind of dies down. I mean, I know there's some fans that are still fans of the first one and are happy that it's back, but I don't know. I feel like you kind of need to release the sequel right around the hype. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm pretty curious to see how this one will do, because I don't think it's going to do nearly as good as the first one. I just hope it does enough to make more than one more sequel. So we'll have to. It's really the test is the second and third and fourth week, because that was if it fails in the next couple weeks, that's a bad sign.
I haven't checked how well it's doing right now.
Well, it just had kind of a decent an expectedly decent opening, like 130 million, but it's got a ways to go to make 600 million domestic.
Who else here has actually seen it?
Not me.
Okay, Derek, Simon, you there?
No, haven't seen it.
No one. Okay, it's only Colin.
Wait, worldwide, it's already made about $1 billion, so yeah, that'll probably be a success.
Just Google
Yeah.
James Cameron, and it says their upcoming Avatar 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be the #1 movie of the year worldwide. Top Gun's about $500 million ahead, but it's already it's less than 2 weeks or less than.
That
2
is a good movie.
Yeah, it's
Top
gonna
Gun.
be #2 within 3 days worldwide. So yeah, I think Avatar I think it's gonna make enough money already that we'll see more than one sequel. That's cool.
I think it will. Some of the stuff they've been talking about, oh, it's underperforming. It's not and I'm looking at the numbers and it doesn't look like it's underperforming.
Second biggest movie in the world in 10 days. And if that's underperforming.
Yeah, I don't understand. And then there was a claim by someone that said, oh, it cost $2 billion to make it. No, it didn't. It didn't cost $2 billion to
Wasn't
make
there
it.
production issues with it?
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, at this same point in time, compared to the first one, it's 50 million ahead. So it's not underperforming or below. I don't know what they mean by below expectations. I don't get what they're.
I think you'll do fine. I'm
not trying to defend Avatar. I'm just like, if you're going to make a claim like that, you got to make it make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I just hope it doesn't beat Top Gun Maverick.
It might, because Top Gun Maverick didn't go to China. Remember, Avatar probably. I think it probably is or will.
Big business, yeah.
So,
so I was gonna just move on from Avatar. We've been talking about Avatar.
Yeah. I'm wearing my Na'vi leather. I finally
that's. Did you see what Simon said?
Yeah, I've got my Na'vi leather on. I killed them.
Oh my god.
So #2 was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Harry Potter.
Nah.
Was it #5 or 6?
That was the 6th one.
That was 6.
Ben, you don't like Avatar? Or sorry, Harry Potter?
Yeah, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, so no, not really.
Some people aren't. I enjoyed it. I like Harry Potter.
This
Haven't seen it in a while.
I feel like this one got even grittier and darker.
Well, it
did. The quality of it was starting to get really, really dark. I remember I enjoyed it, but I still like the one previously. 07.
Order of the Phoenix?
Yeah. That one was still my favorite. I don't know. I have good memories of that, but this one was pretty good too. That's when specific big plot points happen, which I won't say. Whoever.
Right. Well, especially with Snape.
Oh yeah, Snape.
Poor Alan Rickman.
Big death that happens. All that.
I kind of lost more interest in Harry Potter's saga as they got older. I was more.
Really?
It felt more like the tone worked better for me when they were kids. Once it was kind of they were the later 3 books, and it was a little more serious, and they were a little more grown up. I don't know. I lost some of the appeal. The first 3 or 4 were really my favorite ones.
I mean, for the start, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, when you get older, I guess to me, I like the more grittier side of it.
Yeah, and I think part of that too is just my own course of what I was at in my personal life. I was just trying to get into more different stuff. I was
so you probably want to set up your setting for only your name commenting, because you made it look like I'm commenting.
What? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's because I left the studio and then came back in, and it didn't save my setting from before, and I'll probably have to leave again whenever he calls me back. So
again.
Well, yeah, because he said he's just going to try to just go up to this hotel that he wants to stay at, and he'll see if they have a room. And if not, then I'll search around and do a reservation online or something. So, yeah, I'll probably be popping out again after a bit.
#3 was Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and I never saw this one.
I was going to say, I don't remember if we So
We saw like the second one. I remember we saw the second one in movie theaters, but we
Yeah.
never saw the other one.
Yeah, I kind of lost interest in it. I guess that's why we didn't go see it. Or maybe you guys weren't super interested.
I don't remember to be
I don't
honest.
either. I've lost count
dude.
of how many Ice Age movies there are now.
Number three, it's number 3.
It made a lot of money.
That's why they keep making more.
I think weren't there 2 more after that? I think with 5. I know didn't they do one where they went into space or collision course or whatever?
Oh
the heck
my
it
Oh
was?
gosh, honestly, Derek, I don't know. I know there
And
have
I haven't
been.
seen it. I haven't seen a single one, so I really don't know. I'm just going
Oh,
off
okay.
recollection. Just
Like
like
how
the Harry
Fast and
Potters, I've
Furious
never
is
watched
going
any
up
of
into
them.
space
So.
now.
The voice acting for me made that film.
Mhm.
I like the voice acting, but anyway.
Number 4, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. We did see this one in movie theaters.
That's
and
the
now,
second one. Is that the
yeah,
second one?
and thinking back on it now, I realize that like after seeing some clips, I'm thinking, yeah, it's not my favorite. I do like the first one a lot more.
First one to me
More
was the
story
best.
to the first one. Second one, I mean, it's fun, but it's not great. I remember it was too long,
Yes.
dragged
was.
out,
I remember
a
Megan
lot of
Fox
death,
beating
a
like
lot of
all
carnage.
burning bridges with what was it? Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, yeah.
Like in public eye, and she was in that movie. I just remember all that when she was talking terrible about him or whatever, and it was just like, and she was burning out too. That's the
Yeah,
only thing I
she's-
remember about Transformers 2, because I remember I've seen it, but I don't really remember a whole lot about it, and I wasn't particularly impressed. I don't think.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said some kind of dumb stuff.
I think that's one where it's like I agree with. In my opinion on that's kind of like the Avatar, where it had some good visuals, but the story wasn't there for me.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a huge fan of the second one. I really do love the first one. To me, that movie
made
is
your
so much
number.
fun.
Well, it
I
made
do
your top
too.
10 of films of all time.
Oh, that did make
Yeah,
your top 10?
the first
Oh,
Transformers.
okay. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. But yeah, no, after the second one, I don't even think I saw the third one in theaters. And did they make a fourth one?
Yeah, you kind of had it on the fourth one.
I played it, but I've lost track of which one is which. And are they coming out with another one?
I think it has something. I don't know. Like it
In
has something to do with
2023?
animal, like big giants. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's like based on Beast Wars. I
Okay.
saw Bumblebee, and that was the
Oh,
first one
yeah.
I think I actually saw. Like
Yeah,
that actually
Bumblebee.
was liked. I liked.
I
Bumblebee.
liked, right. I
Yeah.
liked Bumblebee, but I consider it almost feels like a separate movie from the other Transformers.
Yeah.
So
The fifth one was weird. Like they do this thing where apparently Transformers were around like since history.
Yeah.
okay.
Thought that was kind of odd.
Well, that
Okay.
was if you watch the cartoon, they were stuck. They crashed long before we came around. Then they just happened to wake up.
But there's like a. Well, I remember watching the trailer. There was like Bumblebee was helping the Allies in World War II. There was a World War I tank that's a Transformer and all that. It's like
You probably like that. You probably like those.
Well,
visuals,
yeah, but
though,
it's just kind of weird that they didn't bring it up.
before.
Like, yeah, so it's just like, how does that add up?
Yeah.
Well, GM had that huge product placement for the first one, which was one of the big selling points too, because they had a new Camaro that had been only rumored at that point. Like they wouldn't commit to making the Camaro again, and then all of a sudden Bumblebee's a Camaro.
That was a
And,
cool car, though.
It was. But it wasn't even a production car yet, so it was kind of
Interesting.
Transformers brought back the Camaro. It was pivotal in that. But,
Number 5 is 2012.
yeah.
Where the end is nigh.
And don't
Never
all you people
saw it.
feel stupid that you didn't believe those barefoot backwards Mayans who couldn't live to be like 30 years old somehow accurately predicted the end of the world?
Was
in
that the year?
2012?
Was it
Yeah, it was
2020? That was the
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's funny? I remember when we were in that year, 2012. It was a December night, and it was raining, and it was kind of warm for a December night. I'm thinking, oh, is this a sign?
Well, Arturo, in a few days, we're going to have 70-degree weather, but raining.
I know,
in
but
December.
but since this was the year, like supposedly,
That
I think
same
it was
year?
the day
Yeah.
of the end. I'm like, oh, is this a sign? I never saw this movie. I think your mom saw it though.
I didn't.
It was just disaster movie. We had
yeah, I didn't
John
see it.
Cusack and Amanda Peet. Had a lot of, Oliver Platt. This is just this Roland Emmerich.
Oh, this didn't have Jake Gyllenhaal in it?
No, that's The Day After Tomorrow. You're probably thinking.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's yeah.
Which is probably just as much as science fiction that the global warming is going to finally kill us 25 years ago.
Exactly to the date. Yeah, I never saw either one of those, so I was getting them mixed up. Okay,
But it made it a number 5.
It made a lot of money. Woody Harrelson was in it too. He was the conspiracy theorist guy.
Yeah,
he was pretty funny.
Oh, this is the same guy that directed Moonfall. That's right.
He hadn't gone Moonfall level yet. But
No, we hadn't yet. I'm debating like whether Moonfall is going to be my number 1 worst for this year, or if Halloween Ends is going to be. It's really close, y'all.
Moonfall.
I don't know. I feel like Moonfall would be number 1 because
probably.
I mean, like, I don't know.
I don't know how. I just wonder how much like Ancient Aliens and like bong hits inspired that movie. Maybe Colin, can you help us out? I'm sorry, I'm joking. But no, but it was just insane. It was just like it was like every Ancient Aliens episode you ever have had the misfortune of actually listening to, and they just like took it seriously. And you're just like, oh no, man. There's a reason they air those episodes at like 3 a.m., let alone make a freaking film off it. And then Patrick Wilson tried to be funny, and I usually like him, and he just wasn't. I every like attempt at humor just fell flat, like when he was always trying to do the Toto song.
Yeah, that's right. Oh,
and it was supposed to be humorous, and I'm just like, oh no, I was involuntarily cringing, And
Chris, so did I. So did I. I started the year off with Moonfall, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm like, if this is any indication of what 2022 is going to be like in the world of movies, I am not a happy camper.
See, this is why we need to bring more anime to the movie theaters.
Oh my gosh.
At least they know what they're doing.
So tired. Yes. Okay, let's shift gears back to 20.
Let's talk more about.
Let's shift gears back to 2009. Oh my gosh.
But it's the director of Moonfall that made 2012.
Oh, here's 2012, Stin.
Is that the Blu-ray or 4K? You bought it.
DVD.
Brought to you by the guy that made Moonfall.
Derek buys all the movies.
I actually bought this after Thanksgiving,
my friend
2011. So.
Oh, 2000. Oh, okay.
So Adam Lambert did a music video for it. So.
Oh, Adam Lambert. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about him.
Yeah. Well, okay. He had a scandal recently.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's pretty cute.
Number
Adam Levine. I'm sorry, I get them confused. They're the same Adam.
Adam Levine is the dude with Maroon 5.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, Arturo.
Sorry. Number 6. Pretty sad movie. I remember seeing this. Up.
Yeah. That was depressing. I mean, this movie had me in tears in the first few minutes.
That beginning scene.
Oh, right.
Scene. And yeah, it almost got me to lay a tear down, and I resisted.
Almost.
I had to fight it. I was like, not for the.
I remember
it's not gonna get me.
Yeah. Wasn't there people in front of us like crying too? Like pretty much people in there were just in tears. Like right off the bat, the movie starts you off with tears.
Yeah, it's really well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But it's kind of fun too. Like I like the goof. Like the. Doesn't it have talking dogs?
Yes, squirrel.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I like that, and I like being outside in the nature, and I just like movies that take place mostly outside and have animals. Like that's Avatar is a win for me.
Oh, we're going back to Avatar.
No, even though the animals aren't even real.
Stop talking about Avatar.
Colin loves it. He came prepared. He's got like this dissertation he's going to share with us.
We got to talk about the blue people.
I already did. It's awesome. I just kept repeating that.
Colin, it's all in good fun, even though I hate Avatar.
No, I know, and I feel like I have to defend it to the whole world, even though it's a huge hit. I've never met anyone who likes it.
I mean, go for it.
That's so funny. Yet enough people like it that it's made billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Go figure. It's probably like the same 10 people going back to the theater again and again. That's what it is.
Chance and Sassy. That's a classic movie.
That's a fun movie.
But yeah, Up was kind of like I remember when I was 13 at the time. That was probably just one watch for me.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it that one time. It's not really
It's not like
hugely feel good movie because it starts off so sad.
yeah.
I watched Up a couple of times because that was the only thing I would really watch for a little bit.
Oh,
I must be the stony heart minority when I'm totally bulletproof and immune to the heartstring pulling from Disney films. Like I had nothing. I only see like I look at them scornfully. Like I'm just like
Even the beginning of Up,
the
though,
lowest common denominator are Disney movies.
yeah, because it's Disney. Yeah.
even the beginning of Up, though.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. I just would. Sit
Okay,
there
well that because no other Disney movie has a single scene that's half as good, half as likely to make you cry. Not good.
It was pretty. It was very touching.
It would
It's pretty much
gotta be the stoniest of hearts because I like never cry for movies, and that like I said, I was like making myself avoid going down that well of it's so sad. Like
I mean, it's kind of just life. Like you see these couples age.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
well, that's why it is. It's so relatable.
Yeah.
And it's so like sad in a like happy way, like melancholy. Like yeah, it is.
I found nothing happy about.
Yeah, I didn't find that scene happy. To me, it
Beginning.
was just nothing but sad. Just
Well, because
sad.
they loved each other so much.
I know, but
That's,
then
it's like this happiness.
she was gone, and it was
I know.
sad.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
Yeah,
we're
she couldn't even-
spoiling it for Derek.
Oh, I don't.
So there's an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is my go-to like comedy, like irrelevant, cynical comedy to watch. And there's an episode where they all do like a little fantasy. Each character gets like a 7-minute fantasy scene. And Charlie's is an animated scene where he's the character in the beginning of Up, basically, and it's him and his girl. And I have to skip it because they do it so true to the movie that it actually makes me sad. And it's not funny, and I just skip it. So, yeah, that scene, it's a powerful scene. It's a powerful
Yeah.
scene.
It is.
Let's see. Number 7 is my Sin's favorite movie of all time, The Twilight Saga: New Moon.
That's where I stopped. That's where, and that's the movie that took me months to finish.
I
I could
remember.
only take it in like 10-minute chunks. My eyeballs were rolling so far up into my head. I just couldn't.
Can you imagine?
Dialogue and some of that stuff is just like comically
Oh.
bad.
Oh,
Like,
I know.
I remember the trailer dropped, right? And like, of course, all the girls like my age, even young adult women that we were, they were
Yeah.
just like enamored with this stuff. Like it was embarrassing. Like hearing Kirsten Stewart, I remember this line. She was like, "It feels like a hole has been punched in my chest," and that was like this like tear jerking moment or something like that. And you're just like, "What are you, 11-year-old write this off her
Yeah.
take it off her MySpace page or something? What the hell?" But these women were just like looking at it like, "Yeah," and you're just like, "Oh
No. I made
I
the mistake
remember-
of listening to the book, and I'm still angry that I took the time to do
I
that.
remember your brother was like
first
he
book.
would just keep winding that one scene in the trailer because it was so bad, and I'm
In New
thinking to
Moon?
myself, yeah, your brother Tim,
Which
he would keep
scene?
winding, like just seeing how bad, like whenever the guy turned into a werewolf, I think. He
Oh,
kept
yeah.
rewinding the
Mm.
scene. I remember he was just saying how bad it was, and now when I think about it, it's like, well, why were you torturing yourself? Well, winding it over and over just to see that one
So he
scene.
could
of him
laugh
turning
at it,
into
I
a
guess.
werewolf.
I don't
And didn't
know.
the guy who directed American Pie, one of the American Pies, he did that movie? So it was kind of a change. Adam
The
Weitz,
director
I think, or
was Chris Weitz.
Chris Weiss. Yeah, I think he did his. I could
Ugh.
walk over to my shelf and look, but I'm just.
Yeah, because you have all the movies.
But yeah, this is Sin's
Derek has
favorite
all the
series.
movies. No, gosh, I was
And
just
yet
like,
you
I am
love
so.
Underworld.
I do love Underworld because Underworld is good, Colin. Don't even besmirch the name of Underworld by comparing it to Twilight.
No, I wouldn't even.
The
I've
The
never
first
even- I've seen,
Underworld
like-
is so good.
I saw like one scene of one Twilight movie, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, well, yeah.
Well, I could only take but so much of Kirsten Stewart, like batting her eyes, her eyelids all the time, blinking. This, I just like, oh my god, I would get mad watching it just because her face. I got tired of her face. I got tired of Edward's face. I got tired of everything, the stupid dialogue, and I just like, I can't.
I do like him as an actor.
I like him just fine, but
Me too.
the character,
Thanks
oh
for
my
that movie.
gosh.
Since that
Lord.
movie, yeah.
I still think he was okay as Batman.
He didn't convince me as Batman.
He did great as Batman. What are you talking about?
No, he did not
It was
convince me as
fine.
Batman.
It was
No,
like
It was fine.
an emo teenage Batman.
yeah, well,
Wait.
an emo teenage
That was
Bruce
I
the
still think he
Wayne.
was all right. I don't think it was,
It was okay. I mean, I didn't hate the movie. He didn't convince me, but that movie did not make my top 10.
Oh, really? It
No.
made mine because I did like the feel of it.
I like the feel of it. I just wish it hadn't been as long, and I wish it hadn't been him. And Catwoman got on my nerves by the end of the movie. She started to annoy me. Well, just when she was starting to get on my good side, then she annoyed me. I was like, so.
I love.
You need to
Colin
watch
Farrell
The
in
Long
Batman.
Halloween. Catwoman is so
What's
good.
that, Derek?
Oh, I love Colin Farrell too in Batman.
He was very good in that. Yes.
I thought he if you didn't, he looked unrecognizable in the
Oh
Penguins.
yeah, take it easy, sweetheart.
Right.
would have never known that was him if I didn't already know that was him.
Got you. I got you.
Yeah, he was really good in there for sure.
He looked like a Al Capone. That's what he looked like.
I'll be back.
Oh, again. Number 8, Sherlock Holmes. This was actually one that I saw Christmas Day at the theater that I work today.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you still work? Or
I
no,
still
you-
work there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ben also works there too.
I like.
Yeah,
Sherlock
I
Holmes.
I
That
have
was
to
pretty
deal with
good.
him. It's
Deal with my
Oh, you were Ben from you were in the pod the last time that you were.
yeah. I was that other guy in that podcast. Yeah.
I remember.
Yes, Chris, the
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. I really had fun watching that movie that day on Christmas Day. I remember we went into one of the rooms, and that was like the most packed Christmas I can remember in a movie theater. And from what Sin remembers, she mentioned how people were like sitting on the steps watching that movie.
Really?
This was before we did the thing with the seats.
I remember that, man, back in the day. That was, I remember that happening a few times when I worked at a theater when it was like that happened at the first Fast and the Furious movie. It was like overflowing. People were like standing by the doors. Like one night I was working like a weekend night.
Yeah, that's a hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they allow that anymore.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really good I think Guy Ritchie made it. Yeah, I thought it was a really good Sherlock Holmes movie.
I liked it a lot. Yeah, I remember being surprised. It's weird, like I think it has kind of a Hollywood feel that I don't really like, kind of like an overproduced feel, but I think it's saved by the Robert Downey's performance and just I remember I don't know what the action and some of the filming and it was good enough that it was like above average for me. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
I really like the music in there. Hans Zimmer.
He's
does
good too.
a spectacular job.
I forgot. I don't remember the score, but
I like the chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. and what's that other actor's name?
Jude Law.
Played Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah, their chemistry was funny.
It's been a while since I've watched it again. It's been a while since I've seen it. I remember it's a good movie.
Oh yeah, it's really fun. I'll never forget that day too. It was a fun day.
How old were you?
I was still 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Ben, have you seen that movie Sherlock Holmes? Robert Downey Jr.
No, I have not.
Derek.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
But I do know Sherlock Holmes. I do know the character Sherlock Holmes. I do like his character.
So
I
wait,
remember when I was in San Francisco, like this time, December in 2009, before it came out, and my friend lived right next to Chinatown where I was staying, and like going down in Chinatown and like on all their like the sides of the buildings, they had these like 10-foot tall enormous Sherlock Holmes posters just like painted all over the like the brick walls and stuff like that. And so that was always a memory that like got burned in my mind. I got pictures of it on my phone. I thought it was really cool, actually.
Cool.
You still have it?
Yeah, I got it somewhere. It's on a memory card. I saw it not too long ago, but I thought it was a cool little moment, you know, because I never seen sides of buildings. I can't remember last time I saw them painted with movie posters on them. So
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. Simon, have you seen it? Simon,
Sorry, what?
Sherlock
have you
with
seen it?
I have, but it was a long time ago. It was all right.
All right.
It's been a while for me too. I think it's above average.
It's a fun movie.
I think RDJ though, he makes stuff really good a lot.
I mean, he was really funny in that. Like, he was this sort of Sherlock, like this iteration of Sherlock Holmes was kind of like a guy that just like gets out of bed with his hair all messed up.
Yeah.
Doesn't care how he looks. He just.
Have you seen the BBC one with Benedict?
Oh yeah.
Martin.
Mhm.
That one's so good.
That one's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to have like a fun chemistry with Sherlock or Watson, like on the screen, there's either the Sherlock BBC or the Sherlock Holmes movie, Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah. I agree. The movie is like a short but still fun version.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Sherlock show, they're kind of like movies. They're like an hour and something.
They are. Yep. It's really good. So the movie's good. I think the movie though, it doesn't feel necessarily like a Guy Ritchie movie to me though. Maybe some parts of it do, but it's not like a Tarantino movie always feels like. Some of Guy Ritchie movies do, like a lot, like half his movies feel like he did that movie, but then some other movies I wouldn't really know if you didn't tell me that.
well, until Sherlock Holmes came out, you got to remember, like in the mid 2000s, he was kind of in, like a slump. He made a bunch of. Well, he made movies that like where he was trying different things, and they weren't as humorous as his original stuff was known for. He did like Revolver with Jason Statham. It got like scuttled, like it got no notice, and they kind of threw it away because it was just kind of way too out there. And then he did like Rock and Rolla, which did horrible.
I didn't like Rock and Rolla.
It was watchable and it had moments, but it was just kind of like I kept waiting for more to happen and nothing ever really did, you know. And then, you know, he got another chance at Sherlock Holmes. And, you know, if you were following his career, it was by all means, he was kind of done for because you don't usually recover off that. You just keep your downward trend. Right. So Sherlock got him kind of back in the saddle. He was thirsty, I think, again. He got the humor back. He had Jude Law, you know, Robert Downey Jr., Rachel McAdams. People forget about her. You know, he had good comedic actors in there that really, I thought, pulled their weight. And it just made a really pleasant, enjoyable film. And you know, they did a follow-up 2 years later. So you know, I liked them. I dug it. I don't know what else to say. I think it's pretty. People like it, and
because he didn't he have a good start like in the late 90s and early 2000s. Because after that, I didn't really know like much of his like film career until Sherlock.
He did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I remember that was the first time I ever heard his name. I was watching like the Oscars, and something happened, and then Snatch came out, and that one kind of got a bit of notice. Like it was still a pretty decent hit over here, and it had a really good cast. And
that one was good.
Brad Pitt got it some attention.
Right. And Brad Pitt was, you know, he was box office gold still at that point.
Yeah.
He was really popular. So for him to do kind of a small scale British film and just a little role, or, you know, just a supporting role was, and then like Benicio del Toro as well, who, you know, and then that was the first time I remember Vinnie Jones really popping up for a bit. And,
Yep.
And then he did Swept Away with Madonna, if you remember that. If you guys,
and it was just like a huge bomb.
No, dude, terrible. I think it made like $350,000, you know. And
it was like his follow-up to his first two big hits, or Snatch even being a bigger hit, and then it was like that was his follow-up, and it was like, And
so I think Snatch only made like, I almost say made like 33 million if memory serves in the US, 31 or 33. So I mean, it wasn't a huge hit.
It wasn't a big hit, right? It was just more than maybe they thought it would be, because I think Brad Pitt got in there.
Well, I mean, it's a well-crafted movie.
It's really good. It's an awesome movie.
and it's so dark and it's funny and there's just all
Yeah.
these little memorable lines and that. Yeah, I love that movie, man. I saw it in theaters 3 times now.
It's got the guy from The Walking Dead in there. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
really didn't know who he was at the time. I
The
haven't
guy,
seen
his name in Walking Dead was what, Morgan, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, he's in that. And then of course when you see Brad Pitt, you kind of have to have subtitles on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not Simon though.
And even the characters didn't even understand what he was talking about. Did you hear? Did you know what he said?
Yeah. I didn't even know what a caravan was until that point. Like I thought it was just like a Dodge, and then they're like, no, that means something totally different over there.
So number 9 was Angels and Demons. Anybody seen that?
Nope.
I think
Second
I
Da Vinci
did
Code film.
Yeah.
watch it because is Audrey Tautou in that one? Like is she in that one and the first one, or just that one, or just the first one?
I thought
I
it was
know
different.
just because Audrey Tautou is in it. I don't remember which one it was though.
I know Ewan McGregor was in it.
Yeah, he was in it. Of course, Tom Hanks.
He was?
It's technically the first book.
Yeah.
Right, the prequel.
And they did a sequel, Inferno, what, in 2016 that was, or 17?
Oh, they made another one?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, Felicity Jones was in it.
I've never seen the Da Vinci Code. This was kind of like the first one that I've seen, but I'm watching it pretty much in order.
Yeah. Paul Bettany was in it too, and that one.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of those. Every one of those movies has an amazing cast, and I'm like you'd expect kind of a Ron Howard production to have.
A lot of mystery.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they seem all right to me, but for me, they seem a little plain. Or I don't know why they're such big. It is Tom Hanks, I guess, but
yeah,
I don't know. They feel a little overrated to me. They don't seem like that amazing as much as they're such huge hits. But they're not that bad though, so I can't say they're like. There's nothing bad about them. They're just kind of plain in a way. I feel like I've seen it before, kind of thing. But that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I mean, by this point in like the 2000s or late 2000s, you kind of start to see a trend where you feel like you've seen this movie before somewhere else, like the same sort of it's like they continue this trend where like if it's not if it's not broken, don't fix it, and they keep doing it.
Yeah.
It just feels the same.
Yeah.
It's worse now than it was back then, but that was like the start of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the last one on here, The Hangover, which I have not seen.
I mean, it was a fun movie. It was a huge hit. I can see what it was just kind of like one of those movies, right place, the right time. Like it did its job. It's not like an amazing movie. They definitely cashed in on the sequels,
Yeah, like they kept making sequels after the fact.
Yeah,
I thought the sequels were pretty lackluster, man. I really thought the first one, like they were thirsty. It was funny. They did try some zany humor. That was the first time a lot of people knew who like paid attention to who Zach Galifianakis was.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him do stand-up 2 years before the movie came out. I remember telling people, like, I'm going to go see Zach Galifianakis. And people like, who? And I was like, oh, Zach, he was in Out Cold and Bubble Boy. And people, no one really knew who the know-me-looking guy was. And that movie came out, and all of a sudden, Zach was, like, freaking everywhere. Just everywhere. You couldn't get rid of him. He put him in everything.
Yeah, he's really funny.
And he is funny. You got to adjust to his humor. But he made that kind of really dark, cynical, off the wall. He had his own little brand of it, and it kind of I liked that he was able to put that in more films because I thought the guy was hilarious, to be honest.
Have you seen the sketch about like he kind of does this voice, like this gay Southern voice, and there's this sketch where he plays like his twin brother who is like kind of like this gay Southern dude, and it's I forget something. I've watched it a lot of times. It really cracks me up when he puts on this like. With a demeanor of the gay Southerner. And
it was cool seeing him back then too, because like he would joke about things that like today would probably not fly. And that was just 10, 15 years ago. And
he did a movie with Will Ferrell where they're on a campaign, and
yeah.
almost like that character he played. It's almost like a more, I don't know, louder, sillier, and crazier version of that. A little bit more like that one. The guy in the movie was a little bit more down.
Yeah.
The
Where he's
one
like,
he's done.
push it real good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
from the campaign. Yeah, I love that movie. I thought it was actually really funny.
Which movie? Which movie? Oh, the Hangover.
Yeah, this is the last one on the list.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
We
that
just
movie
talked
was
about
Angels and
Sherlock.
Demons.
Yeah, Angels and Demons, Sherlock
Holmes,
and Hangover.
So I want to ask someone like Simon, since he would have the most knowledge of this. How well did Robert Downey Jr. do on his accent
In what?
in Sherlock Holmes?
It was all right. It was
Oh.
passable. I can't remember being particularly bad or particularly good. So
okay. Well, I mean, he impressed me. I almost felt like we needed subtitles, but oh shoot, I'll be back.
Oh my god, been abducted again. But yeah, that's about it for the list of top 10s of this year. So now I'm just going through the rest. So there was a remake of Friday the 13th. Anybody seen that one?
Me. I saw it in theaters on Friday the 13th when it came out, opening day.
I remember seeing trailers for it.
You what?
I remember seeing trailers for it.
Yeah, see, I got it. I got the DVD ready right here. Gosh, I'm always backwards here, but yeah. I got a whole stack of movies I watched to prepare for 2009. I actually liked this Friday the 13th. I thought it, because we seemed like we were just kind of onslaught in the mid-late-ish 2000s of just remaking horror, iconic horror properties.
I feel like this was also the start of remakes of 80s movies.
This one was later, man. This was right. This was kind of right in the middle because this is 2009, so Elm Street wouldn't come out till next year, but Halloween had already come out in 2007, and then this year we also got Halloween 2, which was a sequel to that remake.
Oh yeah, that one came out this year, right? I think it did.
Yeah, and it wouldn't come out till I think August or something. But I like this Friday 13th. It was actually really brutal. I mean, it felt to me like it fit into the excessive just mass killing,
slaughter,
lots of blood, lots of boobs. Sorry, older moment, but I mean, it was just standard 80s fare, and he really was pretty brutal. I should just keep saying, and oh yeah, that was pretty good. I liked when Willa Ford, the pop princess, got the knife through the dome and then got lifted up and kind of slid off it. That was a cool little scene. There's some pretty inventive kills in it, and I liked it. It felt like things were inspired. Which, if you notice, you watch the old Friday the 13th. Jason is pretty. He's pretty good. He's a pretty tortured artist with how he likes to kill people. He's pretty inventive, I mean, he's just some of them are just kind of like, oh, that was pretty cool. So it's I like Friday 13th, and it was one of the remakes that I thought actually felt like it had a good heart and soul for the original. So
okay, I never saw it myself. I did hear a theory. This is just like a fan theory, but there's a guy in there that's in the first Transformers, and there's a reference.
Travis Van Winkle.
Saying something in Transformers about a cabin. I think. I mean, I could be wrong. And they think that Friday the 13th is set in the Transformers universe because of that.
Well, I think Michael Bay was a producer on Platinum Dunes. Is that correct?
I'll be right back.
Michael Bay is a producer of the Friday the 13th and Transformers, so it's very possible he could have been, putting Camaros and machetes together. So
yeah, because he like I thought he brought up that actor because he's in Friday the 13th.
Yeah, the guy's name is Travis Van Winkle. He was he always was like a go-to arrogant douchebag Abercrombie model in the late 2010s. If you needed someone, he was the guy you went to because he had the jawline, the pretty boy smile. You know what I mean? The caricature of people who you want to slap them across the face. But yeah, it's good. I could picture those two being related at some point.
Yeah. Watchmen came out this year, directed by Zack Snyder.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen that movie.
Oh. Well, it's probably, to be honest, man, it's probably my favorite superhero movie. That one. I think when we did our superhero talk, mentioned Watchmen.
I like the aspect I like about it is like the Cold War vibe.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what interests me to possibly watch it.
Yeah, it's a smart film, you know, and I love Rorschach. I love the comedian character. Silk Spectre was cool, and Silk Spectre 2. Great cast. Yeah, I love Watchmen, man. I really thought it was awesome, and I thought the ultimate, or the director's cut, maybe not the was even. I liked it even better than the theatrical cut. It's one of those I don't want to watch the theatrical cut anymore.
Isn't it? It's pretty long, right? Close to 3 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's long.
Yeah, to be honest, I completely forgot about Watchmen this year. I only watched like one movie of 09. That was District 9.
Oh yeah.
It was something. It kind of started off like just, you know how the movies like those paranormal movies where it's like a camera. It starts it off like that, and
Yeah.
then it kind of
The found
slowly
footage.
fades off away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a popular movie when it came out. That was Neil Blumkin, or Blumkamp. Blumkamp. Pronounced his name wrong.
I think it's
He was
South
supposed to do the Alien movies after that, and his Alien film never took off. But yeah, it was when he.
Let's see. Does anybody else have a 2009 movie? I'm still
Was Coraline made this year?
Yes.
Ah.
Okay,
That was
what's that about?
Oh, what? You've never watched Coraline? It's such a good
No.
movie.
I have not. What's it about?
Hold on. Let me. I forgot the plot, but I know I watched it. Someone else?
It's stop motion, right?
Yeah, it's stop motion.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I know what you're talking about. I just haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
I saw the new Blu-ray special edition at Walmart actually yesterday, and I looked at it and was like, "Oh, I forgot that was 2009." So I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. But when you guys mentioned it, I was like, "Yeah, it's 2009."
It was a great stop motion film. I really liked it.
It's like a girl, right? She has
Yeah, there's a girl. She goes into like it's like her family's treating her. I think it's like her family's treating her badly. So then she goes into like a different dimension, as you would say, and like she finds the perfect family.
They've got weird looking eyes, from what I can remember.
Yeah, button eyes.
Yeah.
We showed it in Cinemark like a month ago, I think.
Oh yeah, like an anniversary, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I remember when it was coming back for the anniversary. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Well then come on, watch it.
Yeah, see, like that's the thing. I completely forgot about the few that I wanted to watch this year. And I'm like, well, I felt like I think I've seen enough like of the big ones of 09. Now looking through this list, I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones from 09. I was going through it, and I had a hard time picking. Plus, I still haven't even unpacked half my house, so I didn't know where half my DVDs were half the time, and so I took what I could find.
Okay. Who here has seen X-Men Origins Wolverine?
It's on theaters.
I guess I have, kind of. I thought I saw it once.
A lot of people hate this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the worst. I did like the origins of Wolverine, just to see, like, where he comes from and all the wars that he's been in. I liked all that. Deadpool is in it, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was why I remember that Ryan Reynolds took up, it was Wade Wilson, and then at the end when he becomes Weapon X1, that was Scott Adkins, who most people had no clue who he was, and most people still have no clue who Scott Adkins is.
Oh, that wasn't Ryan Reynolds.
No, Ryan Reynolds can't jump like that. He's just a smartass. Yeah, that was Scott Adkins. If he's most famous for like Undisputed 2, 3, 4. He played Boyka. Fan favorite guy.
And they made two. What's his brother's name in here? What's his brother? Do you remember, Derek? What his name was?
Who? Wolverine.
Wolverine's brother. Well,
Sabretooth.
Yeah, like I don't think they were like in the comics. I don't think they
Victor
were.
Creed was his character name. He and if you remember in the first ones, he was played by Tyler Mane, big hulking guy.
Yeah, the big
wrestler.
guy.
He was Michael Myers in the Halloween films, and the old Rob Zombie Halloween film. Big, huge bastard. But yeah, and then they replaced Tyler Mane with Liv Schreiber, who is a good actor, but when you look at him, it's like, who's going to scare you most just on a visual image, Tyler Mane or Liv Schreiber? I'm sorry, Tyler's going to, and I think Tyler had the physicality of Sabretooth.
I think Liv is actually pretty good casting because his face looks like it could be a Sabretooth face. Like his face looks like how they drew him in the comics. And he is a good actor. He doesn't have the frame. Like, that has to all be fake, But his face looks like...
Liv had a lot of charisma. He's a great actor. He really is a truly great actor. And I don't think without that charisma, he would have done a passable role as Sabretooth. He had to make up for the, like we were saying, the frame, the height, the physicality. He had to make up for that by having a good performance,
Yeah.
And
good performance and the right face, I think. I think his face looks like how it was drawn in the comics, which is just kind of probably a coincidence, but he's probably cast for his acting ability. But I mean,
I love the way he does that. That line where he's like, "Ooh, shiny." I love the way he just making fun of Wolverine's claws, and it's something that's always stuck in my head whenever I watch a movie for that line. I love the way he delivered that line.
But I don't think they were like siblings, like in the comics, right?
No.
Because in the first X-Men movie, you never really get that hint.
Hey, we grew up together. We're brothers. We've immortal brothers. Fought in 15 wars together. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, none of that was there.
Yeah, I know Logan lost his memory and all that, but you would think his brother would know.
Yeah.
I can nerd out a little bit on this because X-Men comics was one of the few comics I actually was into for a while. And I remember originally, they weren't written as brothers at all. They were nemesis. They were rivals for a long time. And then I remember there was this comic that came out, and it was I started collecting it, but by the time it finished, I was out of comics. I never finished it. But it was like the Wolverine origin story. They called it Logan or James Hallett, where you found out his name is actually James Hallett. And I think that wrote it like maybe Sabretooth was either his brother, or if not his brother, someone he grew up with from a young age. Orphans that grew, he knows. So so they kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say retconned, but added to history, which is that, as he said, they were orphans that grew up together rather than just people who became rivals as they were adults, which is how it was originally for the first few decades in the comics. They were just rivals. But then we got a backstory, which is they were orphans that grew up together. So that's what I can add to that. Oh, D's coming.
I think he's having internet trouble. Because he popped up earlier. Well, I feel like Wolverine Origins, I feel like it was a bit inconsistent with the other, before they retconned this one, when it came out, I felt like it was a little inconsistent with previous X-Men movies.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name that has the cards? It had him in it. That's the only time you see him.
Remy LeBeau.
Only time.
Played by someone famous?
Taylor Kitsch. Yeah, he didn't. They were trying to make him a star, and he did he was like John Carter. And
I like Taylor Kitsch and John Carter. Wait, did he do some fucked up personal shit though?
No, he's been pretty straight laced. guy?
No, it's Emile Hirsch did some fucked up shit. He like choked someone.
Yeah, Email is also like 4'2", so he's got.
I think I get their faces confused, but no, Taylor Kitsch is cool. I really like John Carter. I think that's what made me like Taylor Kitsch. And yeah, man, Gambit was always my favorite character. They never did him justice on the big screen.
Well, yeah, like that was like the only time you saw like a movie version of him.
Right, yeah, and then they were,
and that's it.
Like planned to spin off with Channing Tatum and never got there. Yeah, he's never. Cream, I think of Cream, Gambit and Cream. In Fortnite, I play as Gambit a lot. I had to get the Gambit skin, and I use the Wu-Tang emote. Cream, get the money. When I win, I do Cream, get the money. So, shout out to that.
It's like it seems like they just can't do some comics justice. By that point, you might as well read the books.
Yeah, if I make it big, I'm going to do Gambit and X-Men justice. I tell you. No, as I
was to write an X-Men story.
I would like to write.
Go for it.
X-Men movie.
Do it now.
One day, maybe.
It's gotta be.
I want to see like the cartoons movie where it's like Gambit and Wolverine and Jubilee and Rogue and the classic cartoon group that we're gonna see in '97, like fighting the Sentinels and shit, and like I want to see that movie.
Yeah, lately the X-Men series is starting to grow on me. I just like, I don't know, the aspect of their story and all that. Oh, there's Sin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so distracted.
Yeah, D tried to pop on, but he's having internet troubles, I think.
Oh no, well that sucks. Maybe he'll be able to come back.
We were talking about Wolverine Origins.
Oh, that's the first one,
I didn't
right?
really.
Well,
I saw it.
Yeah, prequel-ish, but
I saw it once, and I didn't really like it. I liked the beginning a lot. The opening scene is awesome, but then, never wanted to watch it again.
That's the one with Sabretooth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they ended up retconning that movie. Oh, there's D. Will he get on? There we go.
It?
Hey,
hey D.
I don't think we got.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing okay. It's been a little chaotic, but doing okay.
How was Dallas?
Oh, it was great. We had a really, really great time. I actually been off the grid a little bit. Was trying to edit and stuff, and I was like, let me just chill and just go with the flow. We had such a blast. Even though we're all originally from Chicago and Indiana, and that whole temperature drop was quite unexpected. So it was like,
oh, you got hit with the cold, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, you should be used to it. Chicago and Indiana.
Like from us being at home. So.
Oh Lord.
And of course, it's going to be back in the 60s and decent weather after we leave, but that's okay.
Right. Naturally.
Oh, I have the perfect answer for that question. Who to play Gambit? And I forgot his name too, but I'm sure you guys know Lost, the show Lost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Guy who played Sawyer in Lost.
Oh, him?
He is Gambit, dude. There's no one else is close to how good he would be as Gambit.
I'll say
I'll
this.
tell you this. I
was gonna say I'm fine with anybody as long as it's not Channing Tatum. Ever since that was announced, I've been like, no.
Yeah, he would not be good. I like Channing Tatum, but not as Gambit at all. Not at all.
Yeah, we were just talking about how the movie didn't do him justice and how he never showed up after the fact. And I was like, well, by that point, you might as well read the comics because it seems like the movie versions can't do it right. I've got all these comics that my uncles have collected since they came out, like from the 90s, and I really would like to read them at some point. They look so good.
Back when comics were decent.
The best comic, X-Men Age of Apocalypse. That's the best.
The one I really want to read, I forgot. It's got like Storm, Gambit, Wolverine, Professor X on the cover. I don't know, the art looks really good. But do we need to fill in D with
Josh Holloway? Josh Holloway is the perfect Gambit. If you want to Google that dude. Sorry, I had to.
That's the guy who played Sawyer, right?
Yeah, the guy who played Sawyer.
I know who you're speaking.
I think he was in. Wasn't he in like one of the Mission Impossible movies. He was in like the opening scene. Was it 4 or 5? I think.
Was it Ghost Protocol? Was that
I don't
him?
know. Yeah,
At the beginning, he got
It's one
killed.
of those. He was like, I think
The
he
girl
was,
killed him in the alleyway.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That was him. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sin! I also realized I didn't watch The Watchmen.
Oh, that's right. You didn't. You know, we didn't watch a lot of movies in
No.
preparation for this, and I was just watching one right before the show started. I was finishing up Harry Brown.
Ooh, I love Harry Brown. Michael
Caine.
Hi, I'm Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
I love revenge movies like that with vigilantes, you know, like Charles Bronson esque, you know.
Like it reminded me of Death Wish, except
Death
like
Wish.
geriatric Death Wish.
I just just something cool, man. When bad people, those thugs, when we just go, just shoot them and they die. I could watch that for 6 hours straight. I love it.
It's just funny to see this old man like just doing this.
Someone was saying something like, "Who would have known Alfred was more badass than Bruce Wayne," or something like that. It's just kind of funny. I'd never really. I think I'd seen the poster of it before, but never really knew what it was about. So yeah, it was pretty good. It was kind of cool to see the Onion Knight and also that other dude from Game of Thrones in there.
Oh yeah, I was like, the Onion Knight. Why do I knew that? Yeah, Dave Seaworth.
Yeah, that dude and the other guy, the guy who played the one who was like Daenerys's sort of right-hand man for many years.
Yeah, Ian Glenn.
That dude. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Star Trek came out this year.
No.
Oh, I actually liked that movie.
I did
What
too.
was that? No.
I thought it was good. I loved it.
It was a fun time. And I say this to someone, and it's different, I think, when you're older and you have the experience and you're familiar with the franchise. So I can understand why some people probably had issues with it. But my only other experience was, I believe it's Star Trek The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart in the 90s. I loved watching the TV show with my mom. But just kind of with that as my only reference point in some of those movies in the 90s. I thought cool way to kind of be introduced to the world and with a fresh set of eyes and things like that. I enjoyed it.
I second that. Basically, same experience. It was because my dad really liked it, and I was like, "Dad has to like it, or it's not good." My dad liked everything, but he thought they did the good. And I liked it because I would tag along all the time with those other ones and be like, "Okay, they're pretty good," but I liked it more than the ones I grew up watching. Most of those Picard movies I watched. Yeah, it was good.
What was it about? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I watched it again just before 2009. It's pretty good. I think it was great or anything, but I thought it was very watchable, very pleasant.
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job of making Star Trek so it wasn't so. I hate to use the word sci-fi nerd. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like Star Trek had a stereotype of being just for people who are really into that lore, that universe. And I think this was a good one where they were able to kind of transcend that and get into mainstream. So people who may not have paid attention to Star Trek or had really any interest or even had a prejudice against it, actually went in and came out. I saw people who never had seen Star Trek before saying they loved, hey, I saw it in a movie and I liked it. So I think that's good. I think it kind of opens a gateway. They may go backwards and catch some of the other ones. And I still think just as a watchable disaster sci-fi film, it was just entertaining. And I mean, I could want something deeper, but for my money, it was, and my time, it was well spent. And I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Simon, fun. Do you have any thoughts on it, Simon?
On the Star Trek movie?
Yeah, do you like it or are you disappointed? I know you like I feel like you're drawn. A lot of your movies you like are more sci-fi movies, but I know that's like. So I don't know what you thought about Star Trek.
I thought it was a decent attempt at rebooting it, but like everything that JJ starts is just too full of mystery boxes, then that never really paid off. The rest of the movies just kind of sucked.
Yeah,
you mean the sequels you're talking about?
Yeah, the Khan one and the fucking motorbike one. So I can remember about it.
It's had the girl with the painted face.
It was
Sophia Boutella.
and then Beyond. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that was the one that was like the last one that what's his name? Anton Yelchin? Was that him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
The last one right before he died, I think.
Yeah, that was sad. I remember that.
Terribly sad. Oh my
was
gosh, it's still
horrible.
depressing to think about that. What a terrible fluke accident and on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the only reason I found that out was because apparently he did a voice work for, I think, some sort of Studio Ghibli movie. They like behind the voice actors.
That's
like,
how
put
they
up-
announced it. You
Yeah,
found
like
it
that's
out
how I
behind the
found
voice
out
actors?
that he
Yeah,
passed.
you came down and you told me, I think.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
first. I didn't like first. I sort of didn't recognize him, but then I'm like, oh wait a minute, it's like kid. Oh man, I remember that. That year was just
was
terrible in general.
That wasn't a fun year at all.
Oh yeah, Terminator Salvation.
Yeah.
He's also in that too.
Yes, he was. He played Kyle Reese. And I remember I was so excited for that casting of Christian Bale.
Yes.
Because I love Christian Bale.
Yeah,
And
me
he's
too.
going to be the perfect John Connor. And for whatever reason,
Yes.
he didn't really hit it out of the park for me. Yeah, it was just like I was like, I know you're so much better than this for whatever reason. But I mean, my appreciation for it has grown. I do like it more than I did sort of like initially. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And then I'm like, I don't know. But now I'm like, okay, I like it. Okay. But there was this one thing that I thought about that kept me up at night. It's so stupid. Like, okay, so you know how like you wake up, go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, try to go back to bed. Well, for whatever reason, I was thinking, how did he survive that heart transplant without the anti-rejection medication? And that just bothered me. I'm like, oh, that really bothers me because there's just no way.
Yeah.
It's just one thing that's stuck in my brain. But I loved how they put Arnold's face, you know. It was just a tiny scene, but I loved how they did that part where he comes face to face with the Terminator, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I remember this was the same thing about Christian Bale. Like, oh, this makes perfect sense. And then when it came down to it, the way, and I don't know if it was, you know how sometimes you don't know whether it's a performance or the characterization, like how they write a character and like kind of craft the character. I wasn't sure. I was still not sure what it came down to there. But I will say, from what I remember, I'd have to rewatch it. But I was surprised that Sam Worthington I remember that character actually being a lot more interesting and compelling watching it
than John Connor.
Yeah.
It kind of felt to me like Christian Bale, and he's a very serious actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he takes his roles seriously, but for whatever reason, it felt to me like he just wasn't in the character. He just wasn't feeling it.
Right.
The way I expected that he would, you know, which was why I was so excited when I heard that he was cast.
Right.
I mean, he didn't do terrible, but I just felt like intuitively something just didn't click in a way that I think I would have recognized as perfection if it had happened.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I don't hate it. I just, you know, it's no Terminator 2, of course.
I want to say with that movie, it's memorable for me. I think it's an above average movie that's got some flaws, but for me, like it had the trailer. It's probably my favorite trailer of all time in terms of how when I saw that trailer and I rewatched it a lot, like I was set in my head that this was going to be one of the best movies ever. And I think I mentioned before where it was like I was a little too young for Terminator 2. And then when I finally saw it, it was really cool. And then Terminator 3 felt like a letdown. And I felt like this is the movie I've been waiting for. Like we've all been waiting for this movie. This is the post-apocalypse badass movie. And I was so stoked. And I felt like it let me down. But then it wasn't that movie that I thought it'd be. But then it's like rewatching them, it's like, all right, it's got some coolness here. It's not like as bad as Terminator 3, which felt like a lame copy of T2 in a way.
It was a copy of 2. So did you guys like the setting of the post-apocalyptic landscape?
I love the setting. That was one of my favorite parts, but I don't think they did the story right. It felt like the story was kind of jumping around too much. And so a lot of the scenes didn't carry enough weight. Like one of those early scenes with the helicopter, and it's like a long take, and they're crawling around and fighting that robot by the helicopter. That would felt like perfect because it felt like you're right there in this scary, dangerous spot. But then some of the other scenes, it felt a little artificial in a way where it should have felt dangerous, but it felt kind of like, okay, they're just going to get through the scene. I know they're just going to, like, these are the heroes, and they're just going to get through this scene. So it didn't feel dangerous like it should have. Like, the setting looked dangerous. All the ingredients were there, but the story was bad because it was just like, here's our heroes. Are they going to die? Nope. And that's what I felt like. It's just one of those typical, like, here's your two main characters. You know they're going to make it. Let's put them in a bunch of dangerous situations you know they're not going to die in. And there's just not enough tension. And I feel like that was the flaw to that movie. So it had a lot of good things, but it got that wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think that setting wise, it makes sense because we don't get to see Judgment Day, and since they, for whatever reason, chose to, I still remember the ending of 3, and it was just like, oh, it wasn't meant for us to prevent Judgment Day. It was for us to survive it. I was like, please, like, don't, like, let's not do this. But sure, like, by all means, like, let's completely retcon what we did in T2. But if if we are going to do that, then it makes sense. Like, let's see what Judgment Day actually looks like from the standpoint of someone who's in this world now that, it's now taking place, and we see what's happening after that. But I do agree. I think that just maybe story-wise, not all the elements came together. Even though I think that after Genesis and Dark Fate, it's kind of one of those things where, as you have with any franchise, when you have more installments, it kind of changes how you feel
about some of the previous ones.
Yeah,
exactly.
It looks better in retrospect.
I do enjoy it and appreciate it more than I did in the earlier days, but there's some movies you're never going to change your mind about. Like, I'm never going to come to love Halloween Ends. I don't care what people say. Okay.
Corey
that was a
same darkness that he does, and he lets them freaking go.
Sorry, go ahead, Derek. Artur is going on.
I need to share this to everyone.
Sorry.
But Salvation had a very troubled production history, and they overhauled the last third of the film.
Really?
They did an expensive reshoot, and they kind of jettisoned a lot of the original point of the hybrid, the Marcus character, through the reshoot.
Interesting.
There's a cool site called hopeforthefuture.com or .net, but they do like such an enormously thorough write-up on this stuff. They're like the biggest Terminator diehards you'll ever see, but they focus on a lot of deleted scenes and reshoots and things that were scripted but not completed. And they have a pretty long, pretty thorough thing. It was called Project Angel was the original shooting of Salvation, and referring to that cut of Project Angel, basically Marcus, his whole thing was to lure John Connor into the thing, but to make a hybrid of Kyle Reese, a hybrid replica of John Connor, to infiltrate the resistance.
Right. Yes.
Kill them.
And I remember that was how it's supposed to
allude
be.
to some of that stuff, but then, like you're saying, where it doesn't feel like it's complete film in a theatrical cut, because it feels like there's a lot of threads that they start out with that they just kind of at the end, but we just got a big finale at the end, and you just kind of forget what's going on because of the explosions and the reshoot. They had the Arnold T800 thing that wasn't originally there. It's really interesting. And one of the biggest tip-offs to me when I saw the theatrical cut of Salvation, I remember just kind of rolling my eyes. The film felt very juvenile and was kind of concreted in my mind when they had Helena Bonham Carter explaining to Marcus through a visual TV screen why they made him a hybrid and why they did all this. And you're kind of like, so just let me stop right there. Why in the heck would a machine who doesn't owe humans any explanation whatsoever take the time to give the exposition to a guy that it was just going to kill? Like, it just made but they have to do that for the audience, right?
Right, yeah.
But originally, in the original cut, she was actually alive. She was the one running Skynet from a human point of view, and she had a pet kind of robot guy. He was a fitness icon, Greg Plitt. He was the body of Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. So the
Oh.
guy's got an amazing physique. I mean, really. So he played her little henchman there. And you can read up on all this stuff. It's actually really interesting because I think it makes, in the long term, a better story. But for the short term, they jettisoned it because it was probably just too convoluted for test audience type stuff. And
Do you
so
feel
yeah,
like
when you're saying things don't really add up, or it feels like, I'm like, yep, you guys are totally, got the finger on the pulse. It's not just you. The film, it had a lot of loose threads that they never really tied together. And I think that's a criticism I have, on top of the PG-13, which also makes the film feel even more.
Right.
And then, like I think, Colin, you were saying some of the robots the scenes seemed kind of goofy. Like I couldn't help the harvester robot that was picking up all the people out of 7-Eleven, like they were in a freaking claw machine. I remember seeing that the first time and thinking, now how the heck does that thing not just like squish them like little ant? It just seemed like a stupid little. It's like I get what they were trying to do, but it just didn't. It didn't manifest well. You're like, okay, they have to have a way to kind of capture humans, but instead it's just this guy looking like a giant freaking robot. He's literally a giant freaking robot, just chucking them in the back of his knapsack. It's just, I didn't think it fit well. I thought tonally it just didn't work.
I do like the fact that they actually did use like robots, not CGI robots, but like robots.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they were trying to sort of tie back into that original plan for John Connor being, like an infiltrator? Do you feel like they were trying to tie back into that original idea with Genesis?
I thought that they borrowed that. Yeah. When I saw Genesis for the first time, knowing what Salvation originally was filmed as and then jettisoned, I'm like, okay, so they're trying to pick up that thread again. Let's see how that works. And of course, I don't care for Jason Clarke, particularly as an actor. I mean, he's okay, take him or leave him. But then when they put him as John Connor, I was just kind of like,
yeah, I didn't think he was a great John Connor.
That whole movie was miscast. Genesis was miscast.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, anyways, we can
Except
go down
for
that road in
Arnold.
2015. Yeah, I thought I noticed that they did pick up that thread again that they'd kind of abandoned and left loose with Salvation. And I don't think it worked in either way. I just think it was destined to not really work out,
Sin, going back to Chris's question, what do you think Christian Bale was more wasted in between John Connor or Thor the God Butcher?
I never saw that Thor movie, so I have no idea.
Right.
I heard he was good in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I had zero interest to watch. As much as I love Christian Bale, I had no interest in that movie. So
Yeah, I think there was greater. I guess looking at the two, I think there was greater potential. Even though I didn't really care for Love and Thunder. Also, I think there was more potential, especially with it being Christian Bale and just how much that character was kind of stood in stark contrast to the rest of the tone of it. The kind of the goofy, colorful, over the top nature of it. I think had they really, because I think that there's a whole kind of black and white sequence. That there's just a sequence involving that was like really mesmerizing, really interesting, very kind of eerie. And I think if they had played more into that character and given him more time and more development, I think it would have made the film, maybe not great, but a lot more of a lot more of a balanced, interesting kind of project overall. I think the imbalance also kind of threw it off. I think he had a lot of potential there. And I agree with the whole God butchering. I'm like, you have this character who literally butchers gods, but then you don't show it. You just
show it happening. Yeah.
Right.
I jammed out to this.
What is this?
What?
When Bale threw a fit on Salvation.
Oh, they made a song out of that?
I used to play that a lot.
Oh my God.
You want me to fucking smash your lights? You want me to smash them?
The irony was the scene didn't even make the finished cut.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah. Anybody see Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian?
We saw that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's
It came out the
second
same
one?
month as Star Trek and Terminator Salvation.
I remember that Matt and Tim were in town and we went to go see Star Trek and Salvation. I think we saw it at the same time.
And I think Night at the Museum.
I don't know if we saw it then. What was that, D?
No, I was going to say I haven't seen any of those three. Unfortunately, I remember when they came out. It's just like for whatever reason they all kept missing me, and probably at least in this case because there were these big, these other big releases that came out around the same time, and it was a different. This is before I started going consistently to the theater.
Yeah.
So I probably just went with Salvation and Star Trek.
Yeah. Have you guys talked about State of Play yet?
Is that
okay?
Russell Crowe and Leo DiCaprio?
No, that it's
That's
Russell
Body
Crowe and Ben
Body
Affleck.
Okay,
Russell Crowe, Ben Affleck, and I didn't think I had seen it before, but then when I started watching it in preparation for this, I realized that I had at least seen the beginning, because I remember the scene with Russell Crowe driving in the car after like the intro scene has happened. Then he's driving in the car and he's like jamming out to some music and eating some food while he's driving through the city or something like that. And I'm like, this looks familiar. I think I've seen parts of this. So then I'm watching it. I found out it's based on a BBC show, a BBC miniseries by the same name. And I watched it and I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty interesting. But one thing that I just kind of felt like I had to sort of roll my eyes at with this was, so like basically the theme of the story is there's this private company that's ultimately they're trying to take over control of Homeland Security. So the Homeland Security will be run by a private entity. Mm-hmm. And I remember the way the narrative is presented in here is like, oh my gosh, it's so scary and so terrible. And I'm like the government's much better, or like you have so much faith in the government to do it. I mean, I was like, what? Okay. I mean, especially after some stuff that has come out about the government and FBI and CIA and all that crap. But in general, I thought it was a pretty interesting, fun, and it was enjoyable. And I would really like to watch the BBC series now, just because, to compare it. I heard that the governor from The Walking Dead plays in there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, but I don't know if it's available to see anywhere. Anyway, so that was just something I was thinking.
There's a digital versatile disc somewhere in the world.
There might be somewhere, someplace that I can find it.
People forget that.
Have we discussed Orphan yet?
No, I don't think we have, unless you guys did when I was out. I have not seen that movie yet.
Really?
Sequel.
No, I haven't seen it.
Do you already know I won't say it, but do you already know the twist yet?
I do know the twist, yes.
Oh, okay.
Did you see the sequel? Did you, Derek and Dee? Did you guys
I got
see?
First Kill. I got the Blu-ray.
Of course you do. You have all the things. I know.
You're like Matt.
But you've seen it then?
Yeah.
Oh,
Julia
you don't
Stiles
sound...
is in it.
Oh, really?
I know Arturo likes Julia Stiles.
Julia Stiles?
Yeah, she's in it.
Does he like her? Do you like her? I didn't know you did, Arturo.
I thought you made a post about her in your entertainment group.
He might. I don't know.
Maybe he makes her birthday or something. I don't know.
Oh, he makes a lot of posts about entertainment stuff.
Remind me who she is again.
She played in the Bourne movies.
Yeah.
She was the blonde girl in the Bourne movies that was like someone working for the people.
Things I Hate About You,
I don't think he ever saw that movie.
No. I visited her house she lived at when I lived in Tacoma.
Isn't she the one?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't she the one that I thought she kind of had an Asian look to her?
Because of her eyes?
Yeah.
I think maybe you did. Maybe. I have a vague memory
she's
of you.
Not, but she
No. She played in Dexter as well, season 5.
Save the Last Dance.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was introduced to her in. I remember it was like back in like maybe 2001, 2000, something like that. Yeah.
Yep. And I was just thinking that I haven't. So you're saying Julia Stiles was in the Orphan sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was recently thinking, well, I haven't seen her around much lately. I wonder what she's doing. Okay.
She did a lot of direct-to-video stuff over the years. She's a little more selective about what she does, but she's been kind of hovering safely on TV and direct-to-video movies.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And they're usually okay. I mean, as far as that quality of you kind of slow down your expectations a bit, but they're usually some of the better end ones.
Yeah, there are some actually pretty decent direct to direct to video movies.
Just because the movie doesn't go to theaters doesn't mean it's bad. So
This is exactly true.
Mhm.
Yes.
Just got to know
but
where
no,
to
we
find
haven't
them.
talked about Orphan. So.
Right. But yeah, no, I haven't seen Orphan. For whatever reason, I was never drawn to it. What do you guys think about it as far as a horror?
I enjoyed it. Now I enjoyed it immensely. It was one of those. I don't want to say it's not one of the. Well, it's not one of the first, but I want to say it was probably one of the more significant. Probably because I was getting older, but it was probably one of the more significant theater experiences I've had in a really long time. Because the audience, and it was just enough. Like it wasn't to where people were being obnoxious, but everyone really was thrown by the stuff that was going on.
Surprised? Yeah. Okay.
Really, like because like I think even if you look at the trailer, you get the idea that some stuff is going to go down. But just seeing the depths to which this character goes, and some of the violence, and even just some of the things that comes out of her mouth. I mean, the audience was just like going wild. And then of course when the twist came along, 'cause I certainly didn't think that would be the twist. And you have to imagine the film opens, it opens with a very grisly, disturbing sequence where a character, because it kind of ties into the idea, into why, they want to adopt and, why they want this family. But they open that up in a very horrifying way. So it's kind of like they immediately draw you into the fact that it's not going to be like an easy watch at all. And
okay.
I was very much on edge for the duration of that movie. And even at the end, how you kind of get the idea that, this is all going to be resolved and everything's going to be like, I still felt like I think anybody could die at this point. So.
Yeah. Okay. I maybe one day I'll see it, but I was aware that the sequel came out, and I don't remember how well it did or how like what the audience felt. I don't remember. Derek, how do you think it stacked up compared to the original? I think you might be the only one who's seen it.
I didn't mind it. I liked it. I think it was great. It was entertaining. I'm surprised it came with a sequel that long after,
because it's been a bit,
12
right?
years, based 13 years later, and it was a Paramount Plus premiere, so
yeah.
And then it went to video afterwards.
It came to the big screen though, right? It was on the big screen too, as well.
I didn't think it did.
Yeah.
No. Was it at your theater, Arturo?
Yeah, it was.
Because I thought I saw posters for it. Yeah.
Well, I lost track of it because in Washington, remember, the theaters were shut down for and then you had to, fill out papers and do blood work and submit a kidney to get into the theater again. For So I admittedly lost count, and I know sometimes movies got released in the rest of the country, but then only in select states. So usually I've been pretty on the ball with that. But yeah, I slipped on that one. I liked Orphan First Kill. Maybe I'm in the minority there. I don't know, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was entertaining. So.
Okay, maybe I'll watch them one day. But kind of going in knowing what the twist is sort of takes away the. That
was a big moment. I remember when it came out. Everyone. I think the twist stuff aided a lot to it.
Yeah.
Love or notoriety, whatever you want to call it, but it got a lot of notice for that on its twist.
Right.
And it's one of those things.
Drag me to hell.
Yeah, when you don't watch or you don't get a chance to see it at whatever time, it just I don't even know if it's how to say it, but it's like same thing with like Star Wars. There are plenty of people who haven't seen Star Wars, but they know Luke, I am your father. Because it's been referenced in other things, or like they've heard it from somewhere. So yeah, it just happens.
Yep. Well, it's the zeitgeist of the moment. You have to be there when it's new, when it's fresh, when you haven't seen it. Once 10 years down the road happens and everyone's been referenced in movies, they even spoof movies, kind of satire it. It diminishes it. Right. And then you get to that point where it's just like, sometimes you'll see a kid watching like I remember when Blade Runner 2049 came out, right? And I remember these kids leaving the theater, right? And they said, "Oh my God, it looked so corny." And I just wanted to clock these kids. I'm serious. I wanted to pick one up and put them together. Like, how dare you? You're the reason that everything is wrong with the cinema that is, because you little rat bastards. But no, sorry. But no, it's stuff like that. You know, they didn't grow up with them. They didn't know what the throwback to building models and miniatures and stuff like that. And so when they see it, they're like, "Oh my God, that looks so corny," because I've only known things that are generally either equivalent or better. They don't respect that, and that translates the same with movies that again had a payoff or a twist or something that at the time was revolutionary. How many people have you heard say The Exorcist was one of the scariest movies ever? And I did not find that movie remotely scary in the least. I found it a good drama with some horror elements. I found some heartbreaking scenes in the movie. Like I worked as a drama, as a well-acted film. Reagan was creepy as hell. Linda Blair did great. Father Karras was great. But as a scary movie, I'm sorry, it didn't work for me. But I don't fault The Exorcist because I didn't see it till like the late 90s. You know what I mean? So they had 26 years of spoofs and everything to kind of expose you to that. And where maybe you've even seen it done better because they just, they had 20 years to do a better version. Who knows? But so
well, I saw it in the 80s. And I had heard like what you said. Some people said the scariest movie ever. It was just so terrifying. And it never really scared me either. But I don't think for the same reason that it didn't scare you. I think for me, like a lot of times those supernatural type or possession sort of films, they don't really scare me. And I think for me, the biggest sort of cloud of concern of the movie was just this mother dealing with a child so something was wrong with her and she couldn't figure it out. And I knew, even though I wasn't a parent yet, I understood that fear, that horror that a parent can feel when they've got a child, something wrong with them. So that to me was the scariest part of the movie was just did you hear they're coming? I was doing a search for movies coming out in 2023 and they're coming out with another Exorcist movie, but it's like a sequel, I think, because it's got Bernstein in it again. The mother, that's her name, right? Ellen Bernstein.
Burstyn.
Yeah. Okay, she's in it again. I don't think Linda Blair's in it. But I'm a little curious to see where they're going to go with it.
I'll have to check that out. I actually didn't know. I know last thing
I didn't know till the other day.
But
yeah, I didn't find out about it till just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I was going to say I found out that apparently, if I'm not mistaken, that this is supposed to spearhead like a new trilogy. So it's going to be this and like 2 other films possibly. They're going to.
Oh gosh, they're going to do what they did with Halloween.
Yeah. Right. And it's like, it's on the one hand, it's kind of like what Derek was saying, like where like we have a lot of resources in place to where this could be better and we could enhance the story. And like, there is a way to kind of really take that and do a lot with that. But, with the trilogy piece, because we've seen so many unnecessary or kind of like poorly executed trilogies, it's kind of like, are we just squeezing money out of a franchise, or are we actually like telling a really interesting story that requires that many films?
Did you guys see Exorcist 3?
Yeah, both versions.
Okay, I don't know of a separate version. I've just seen the one that plays like on Shudder or Pluto TV from time to time. I thought that was, I mean, I haven't put 1,000% focus on it, but I thought it seemed pretty well done.
It is.
To me.
William Peter Blatty, he directed it, if I remember. The author of the original novel. You should watch the Blu-ray is pretty cool, man. They did it originally. The thing was like Brad Dourif had a bigger role. It's just really different. Like all the stuff with Father Karras being alive at the end, the Gemini killer, that was all reshoot stuff. That was none of the original version.
Okay. So
there were some pretty drastic overhauls.
Interesting.
Just like Exorcist 4, they shot twice. It brought Rennie Harlan in. Anyways, Exorcist films do not have a good success rate. They have a very bad history. Whether they're cursed or whether they are called the heretic, or they.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I do know that the third was definitely, as far as, now I don't know about critics, but I do know it maybe as far as audience and maybe cult status. I do know the third one was a lot more positively received compared to the second. It's like no one talks about the second. It got like a critical, and I think got a critical dragon. I don't think it did well at the box office. It did not go over well at all. But
no,
the third,
it didn't.
people say that the third was kind of a return to form. It was actually fairly solid, and it's probably considered the actual sequel. And they just
Right.
Yeah.
Part
that
2 is
makes
just really interesting. It's very what I hate to use that term psychedelic, but it's very like they try to go deep into the brain and use that machine to conjure up her memories and dreams, and it was just. But I mean, I don't know. I wasn't alive back then, so maybe those were things people were actually pondering about, and the thing was just a little too timely, you know, because you take a gamble when you try to cement yourself to a moment. So I don't know, but I know that the film is not regarded well, and people always refer to it as one of the worst movies ever made. Maybe sequels for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's unfair. I mean, Linda Blair does pretty good, and there's good moments in the film. But it is an odd watch, especially like James Earl Jones walking around with no shirt on all the time, and
he was in the second Exorcist.
yeah, he
Oh,
was.
wow.
I don't even know if I've seen this. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't even.
Part
I didn't
3
know that.
It was more like a horror movie, and that scene where with the garden shears, you know,
Yes,
where
that
it's like,
scene.
oh god, that's gross.
I know, just
man.
like right out of nowhere.
And then there's a scene they cut out that was like too gruesome, where the priest is like decapitated, sitting with his head in his lap in a park, and it was just like there was some really horrific. If anything is a legit horror movie with The Exorcist, I always thought part 3, and then part 4 they tried to shoot it as a straight-faced horror film the second time. But yeah, the first, sorry, it's just, I don't think part 1, 2, it's a horror franchise, but to me it never felt particularly scary, and I just got to be honest, I didn't like that. So
Yeah.
And we got way off track from 2009.
Yeah, I know. I was just sitting there thinking, how did
Sorry
we get
about
onto
that,
that? How did we get?
I was gonna ask, anybody seen Dead Snow?
Oh, I have not seen that all the way
I have
through.
it, but I've never watched it. I know you like it, right, Arturo? And I think you said you hadn't seen it all
I
the way
have
through,
not
right?
seen that movie, to be honest. I've seen the trailer multiple times.
I've heard about scenes. I've heard about scenes in there. Arturo loves it because it's about Nazi zombies.
Yeah.
And then the sequel I heard is actually pretty good.
Yeah, there's a sequel, yeah.
Looks kind of funny in a sense.
One of these days, maybe.
But I do remember seeing one gore scene that bothered me when I was younger.
That might have been the one that your Uncle Tim was talking about. How it was
well,
just
it wasn't
really
that
over the
one.
top.
I have not seen that one, but it was one where they they stabbed this guy in different spots of his body, then they hold his hands and legs and rip him to pieces.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would bother me as much as that scene in Bone Tomahawk.
I knew that's what you were going
I just remember that.
I knew it.
I told you that's like the one scene, like that's my barometer of just horrible. Like that's my oh
mine is
God.
below that. Like I can't get to there. So mine is below whatever. I've gone off course if I've gotten there. I've stopped before I get there.
Well, because I've seen so many horror movies and so much ridiculous over the top stuff that a lot of stuff really is just like, oh, okay, it's just a head chopped off. It's just guts spilling out, But a lot of it has to do with how the story that's being told around that. And so, as I was explaining to Dee in our watch party that we had, the way it was because of the story, the way it was told, it was just so realistic. Yeah. And that's what made it so horrifying and terrible.
Yeah.
That scene. Yeah. Nauseating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nauseating. The best.
It was not.
Oh, by the way, Sin, there was a Blood, the Last Vampire.
I was saying that to you before the live stream.
Oh yeah.
I mentioned that.
The anime, it was an anime pretty much, but they made I remember you mentioned that you
it looked like live action to me.
It is a live action.
Oh yeah.
I remember you mentioning to me that there was a live action story of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I saw that. Didn't they make a Blood movie with Lucy?
No, that's called Rise.
I will be back.
But but isn't that part of the same universe?
I don't believe so. Because I saw Rise, and that one was she basically was a detective or reporter hunting down the people who turned into a vampire.
Oh gosh, for some reason I thought it was in the same universe.
Okay, the only blood series that I've watched as of recently was probably Blood Plus. I have not seen like the original film, and I have not even seen these, but they look interesting.
In answer to Chris's question, it's funny because
Huh.
Terrifier was something that came into the discussion with D and me when we were talking about Bone Tomahawk, and it's been a while since I saw Terrifier, the first one, and I haven't seen the second one, and I do remember it being gory, but for whatever reason, there's no specific scene that stuck with me like that scene in Bone Tomahawk. So the gore in
Terrifier 2 is even
Terrifier,
gorier.
yeah,
so-
I've heard, but for whatever reason, the gore in Terrifier didn't affect me, or it just didn't make an impact on me like Bone Tomahawk. And Bone Tomahawk isn't even your standard type of horror film. It's not like a typical.
Well, it has to do with cannibals.
It does, so that's horrifying in itself, but it's not like a Terrifier movie. So those types of movies, it's kind of like, just I don't know.
Oh, back on track. G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra.
Channing Tatum.
We're talking about Channing Tatum. I don't think, did we see that one? Is that the one with the guy from The Good, the Bad, the Weird, Arturelia?
Yep,
Okay.
we did see that one. That was like the first time I noticed him.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I saw it, and I remember at the time not liking it much, and then I rewatched it later after watching like some of the old cartoons that I grew up with in the 80s. And it was just like, if I watched it in the same vein of a very simple story, it was just a big budget TV cartoon episode, and so I appreciated it a little bit more. And I actually like Retaliation better than Rise of Cobra, because I thought they dialed it back and they tried to make it more grounded. Retaliation, they tried to make more grounded, and I think that was a good way to kind of capitalize on it. And that one had The Rock and Bruce Willis in it.
The Retaliation one?
Yeah, and Tatum, Channing, God's gift to women.
Oh gosh.
Well, he's coming back for another Magic Mike any day now, guys.
Yeah,
so
that's right. I saw that on a list of upcoming
IMAX 3D,
films.
4D, real experience, Dolby seats. The Dolby seats are going to sell out for those women on Valentine's Day. You know it. Just
I'll be back, you guys.
Oh, you gotta go again.
Sorry. I didn't. No one liked the G.I. Joe, I guess. So.
I mean, I thought it was okay. When I think back at it, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I never had the chance to see either one. Like, I thought it was interesting because obviously I grew up. It wasn't like a significant part, but I definitely had G.I. Joe experiences when I was younger. So the idea of a live action film I thought was interesting, but it kind of seemed like it didn't quite, it didn't become the franchise that they wanted it to. And then it seemed like between the first and the second, the direction and the characters, stuff kind of changed hands between the two, and then they just stopped. They didn't go forward.
Yeah.
So.
Has anybody seen The Time Traveler's Wife?
Yes.
I've seen pictures of it. I have not watched it.
Yeah. I think it's a really unique story. I haven't read the book, but I haven't read the book, but I've seen this film, and then of course I watched the recent attempt at a series adaptation, which it was very bizarre, and I had a lot of issues with it. But I think the idea of it is really cool because it's kind of trying to highlight the tragedy of that experience. And because we look at time travel as like, oh, cool, we can go back and we can change things, or we can go back and so on and so forth. Whereas this is really delving into, it kind of almost treats it as some kind of affliction, which it rapidly becomes more of one as his life progresses, and it becomes increasingly complicated. With him meeting his wife at various, stages in her life, him circling back to very traumatic moments in his life that he can't change and can't fix. So I think it's worth watching. I do think the optics of him meeting his wife when she's really, really young is probably not going to go over well with a lot of people, even though I understand what they're trying to do with the story. And that's kind of the awkwardness of it, where it's like, I'm meeting you at this time, even though at this point in life we've already been married. So it's really interesting. I think the concept of it is probably worth watching. It may be too much of a kind of a sappy, maybe too kind of sappy, tragic, and sentimental to some people, but to me it has a darker edge to it than people might realize.
Okay.
I avoided it because I think at the time I just kind of chalked it up to a chick flick when it came out, and I just kind of, I'll get to it if I get to it. But when I did watch it, I think 2013, 14, I just watched it on a whim, and I actually found myself liking it. Like I did enjoy it, and I know that they did the, like you had mentioned, the reboot or whatever what's going on there. I don't know if I'd catch that, but I actually thought The Time Traveler's Wife was a good film. There's actually some really tender parts to it that I was not expecting. Because a lot of times when I watch movies in my head, they're like, oh, this is aimed for chicks. I'm sorry,
chick flick.
Go there. Yeah, I a lot of it, the attempts at sappiness or sentimentality, they miss the mark with me. Like Twilight New Moon.
Yeah,
we're joking about that one. Like anything, unless they missed the mark with me. But I actually felt myself getting into The Time Traveler's Wife. So I can say, if you haven't seen it, maybe we're checking out Arturo.
Yeah. They also had the Final Destination this
Part
year.
4 in 3D. The first one in 3D.
Yeah, which is interesting that it has because it's not the last one. I actually thought it was the last one initially. I can't see. I have to rewatch because one of my friends, IMO Reviews, he did like a kind of a ranking of like kind of each film and like some of the deaths were more effective than the others. I feel like this was like kind of towards the bottom of his list. I feel like he said this one wasn't great looking at all 5. But yeah, like, Final Destination, you kind of have to know what you're getting with those. And I think if you enjoy it and you have fun with it, then I think you're good. To me, from what I remember, I'd have to rewatch it, but I do remember 5 being a lot more effective with this, especially with the bridge sequence collapse and how they circled back to the first, which really shocked me because I didn't realize they were doing that. So yeah, I think it's fun enough, but I know there are some people who do not like Final Destination, so I understand that too.
Yeah, this one was part 4, and this one was unfortunately was built around the 3D gimmick, including the deaths. And it's the shortest of them all. I think it clocks in at like 78 minutes without credits or whatever, and then it's got like a 10-minute closing credit. It's short, and the characters, man. I know that the bar for character development is not particularly high within the genre, and then maybe not even so with the Final Destination sequels, but it's pretty low here. I mean, people just pop up just to die with their brains. Remember when it was like a trendy thing where they'd get hit, like the one person gets hit by a tire and then you just see entrails like fly at the camera, and that was like the gimmick, and that's what people were paying to see back then.
Oh my god!
And but this movie, of course, the curse of sequels, we lament how low quality this one particularly was, but it made like the most money. Like it was one of the highest grossing because of the 3D gimmick attached to it.
Of course.
And then so this one, I can watch it. It's very simple, it's quick, it's to the point. But it's the weakest of the franchise. And as D, you pointed out, part 5 was actually a surprise because part 5 was a step up. When the franchise had been in steady decline, it is very rare the franchise stops and then goes up. And I'll even say part 5 was probably, I think, my second favorite, next to the first. I think the first one was actually had some good emotional moments in it, like with Devon Sawa, trying to deal with this kid whose whole family has got killed, or his family, but all his playing, dealing with premonition, the guilt. I thought he actually carried the film really well, and there were some sad moments and there were good moments, and I think the film doesn't get credit for that aspect. It's just it gets known for the cool kills, you know what I mean? And part 2, they kind of just threw that out the window and said, we're just going for inventive kills. And they did really well. There were some really inventive kills. Like and does anyone really ever see a log truck anymore and not like think of Final Destination 2? Like you switch to lanes just to get away from them now. It's like,
Yeah, that film shaped a generation, and there's no getting around it. Even people who probably, I think it's even people who probably didn't see it initially. It's one of those things that has just kind of become this thing that has shaped a lot of people. And if they see, not even just, I mean, the log trucks definitely, but I think even people are more conscious of what's in front of them and trucks that are carrying anything heavy. And
anything. Now you start seeing death lurking in everything. Like I'm gonna choke on my Powerade bottle or something. You know what I mean? Like there's just, it's like you start seeing that. And then Tony Todd, I thought he had small roles in those films, but he like just nailed it. Dude's an expert actor, and just him going, "I'll see you soon," and just like calling death, the Mac Daddy of them all. You're just like, this guy's cool. And so I like the movies, and I think that if you haven't seen Arturo, you should check out the Final Destination films. So
yeah, I've never seen them at all.
It's funny because I've never seen the Final Destination movies, any of them, I don't think, but I've heard about the thing with the logs, and it's funny because before that movie even came out, either I or my dad had a fear of things coming, like a 2x4 shooting off the back of a truck or something, so when I heard about that scene, I'm like, oh, that's that thing we've been worried about already. that sort of thing.
Well, and then one lady's even killed by an airbag in the second one. Like nothing is safe. Like
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
So no, it sounds stupid, but you watch it and it'll get you. It's like, oh, and they're nasty too. And it was cool, man.
Cindy, you want to talk about what you thought about District 9? Because I did bring it up.
Oh yeah, we watched District 9. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, and I think part of that is because the way it started and how much of it is filmed in like a
documentary
reality cam type.
Yeah, but then it kind of somewhat diverges from that afterwards.
Yeah.
I started to notice, I'm like, oh,
did.
I just realized they're not really doing that anymore. It's like,
that's interesting, though. I guess thinking back, that does make sense. You said you don't like that before.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about those types.
And I did like that a lot, but I can see that if you don't like that, it would be, the worst way to tell.
Yeah, it started. I'm like, oh no, is this type of film?
Yeah.
Well, it really took off in 2009.
It didn't do it that long. It kind of started to.
It slowly merged into like a more standard type of the way things are. But then it would go back and forth between.
Yeah, it would go back and forth,
like news reports and stuff like that. But I heard, are they still supposed to make a sequel? Because they talked about that
actually just looked it up not long ago. After they got directors done with Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while.
It has been since 2009, like Avatar. It's going to take another 20 years.
And 3D will not save it if it's mediocre.
True.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Buongiorno.
Bonjour.
That's a bingo.
Just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as a wish fulfillment, this is also another wish fulfillment.
Right.
Another what film?
Another wish fulfillment.
Wish fulfillment.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a wish fulfillment.
Yeah, like
for Tarantino.
No, like for you as a viewer, like
the way he changes history to make it.
Like how I wish that had really happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead, Derek. You were talking about having seen.
Just cool memory. I saw it at the drive-in, and I saw it as a double feature with Halloween 2, and so it was a summer memory, a good memory I have of seeing that movie. And I was just, I liked it. I thought it was a little overrated, but I thought it was really enjoyable top to bottom, and had just some really good dialogue, and I thought Brad Pitt was terrific. And
he was
so
funny.
One thing and one thing only: killing Nancy.
I get chewed out. I haven't chewed out before, and I love him.
How he kept propping himself up as how he knew this Italian, and then when he opens his mouth and starts talking Italian, it's like, oh Lord, don't talk anymore. This is terrible.
Arrivederci.
Read the dirt.
That's
Yeah,
the
I
first
really like
movie
that
that I
movie.
noticed Christoph however you say his last
Yeah,
name.
Christoph
Christoph
Waltz.
Waltz. I
Yeah.
was gonna say that too. Same. Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
see,
he
I
was
hated him.
good in there.
Oh
I
yeah,
hated
he's a
him
real
so
good
much.
actor.
He's so lovably hateable. So
Oh, yeah.
when he
right.
busts that big pipe out, that moment in the opening scene, there's
Oh
all
yeah.
this crazy tension, and then he just busts out this comically large pipe, and it's such a weird moment because it's like you have to laugh, but it's also like, how can you laugh in this moment?
Right.
But it's so weird that he's just like, yeah, that movie, I love that movie. It's a great movie. Some of those scenes, I think some scenes are better than others. Like, I think every scene with Christoph Waltz is like an ultimate classic, memorable scene. It's so good. And mostly all the scenes, probably with all Brad Pitt, are too. And especially that scene, I think neither Brad Pitt or Christoph Waltz is in, but when they're in like the underground
bar?
bar,
Yeah.
and the three or whatever, and yeah, that the tension and that whole scene, I mean, it's really good. I think some of the theater owner scenes with the woman got a little slow for me even on the first viewing, but overall it's probably after Avatar the one I've watched the most, rewatched and watched the most.
Oh,
I
dang.
mean, it's Quentin Tarantino. Come on.
Yeah, it's Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's able to make scenes very good.
Yeah, I was gonna say Christoph Waltz. I actually technically I was introduced to him in Django because I didn't get to see Inglourious Basterds.
Oh yeah.
So it was
yeah.
interesting seeing him play that character, which I thought he did a really awesome job with. But the character is like a complete 180. And so then circling back around watching Inglourious Basterds and then seeing,
I was like, what? I don't want to see you play this part.
He's so evil in that one, but he's so nice in
He
the
was
other.
he has the same charm, but he's evil in one and good-hearted in the other.
Yeah.
But he has the same charm. Yeah, he's really.
Yeah.
I will say on a little bit. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think you know how Quentin Tarantino's been like hinting that all of his movies are set in the same universe. Apparently, I thought in one of the movies there's like a grave site. I think this might have been Kill Bill. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it had the guy, his character in Django Unchained, and he's somehow related to, I think, the Nazi guy in Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, interesting.
No idea about that.
Wow.
I want to say.
I mean, he's German. I mean, he was German in Django Unchained, so I mean, it would make sense in some way.
I mean, I don't know if he had written the movie, although that's what I was gonna say. Is this was a movie that I used to follow movies a lot, like movie news sites and stuff. And Quentin had been talking about writing a war movie for a while. It had been like rumors about this for probably more than 5 years before it was released. There was a time for a while Adam Sandler was gonna be in it, and I remember I had all this time I had built up the Quentin Tarantino war movie, and it looked totally different than Inglourious Basterds. Like there was more crazy action and blood and chaos rather than kind of like these long, slow set pieces with talking. So I remember seeing it. I was let down in a way where I was like, it's a good movie, but it was just a bunch of talking. You know, some of it was really cool, and some of it I loved, but it wasn't like the crazy, violent, like war action movie that I thought like the war movie only Tarantino could make. Right. And then when it wasn't that, I was like, well, fuck, now he's never going to make that movie. Who else could ever make that movie? It's like now we're never going to see the I don't know, if Quentin Tarantino does Saving Private Ryan or whatever, you know, like crazy action, because he can do crazy action. So I had a sense of disappointment on initial viewing, but I think on revisiting, I have to like give it props that it's such a good movie. And other than a few slow scenes with like the theater character, it's just really solid all the way around.
But you could say it's kind of important to see the theater, like the people at the theater, because that leads to the finale pretty much.
It's not like it's unimportant to the plot. I think overall it was just that epitomized how, and that's my own fault because it's not like he ever said it would be or he owed us that to have this big action movie. Like I expected an action, fast-paced, almost like a Kill Bill turned up. But it was like it was the opposite of that. But it's not like that was my own fault. It was my own preconception of what it was going to be. And so when it wasn't, I was a little disappointed. But on second thought, it's an awesome movie. It's just it's weirdly slow for a Quentin Tarantino war movie. It's weirdly slow, but it's really good.
Yeah.
What were you getting ready to say, D? Yeah. I was just asking what you were getting ready to say.
I'll be right back.
I was going to say that I think I had an idea because I was aware of it, but hadn't had the chance to see it then. I think I had an idea, kind of similar to Colin, that it was going to be a little more balls to the wall than it actually was. Not to say that it's not chaotic and there aren't moments, but I think I got this idea for whatever reason. And maybe after watching Django also, that it was more like, or like kind of more Kill Bill-esque or something.
More action.
Yeah, a little more kind of in the middle as far as kind of this relentless, like we're just killing Nazis, every other scene. And not to say that element isn't there, it's just probably not as like in your face as I thought it was going to be. But
do you think the trailer gave you that idea?
Probably. And I would say though, in contrast to that, I do think the tension is really what made it really effective for me. I keep thinking about the scene with Diane Kruger's character. He asked her, he's asked her to step aside and have a conversation, and then we circle back to the whole thing with the shoe. And I mean, I think at some point I wasn't breathing anymore when I was watching that scene. Yeah. And I still didn't think he was going to do what he did. Like I was like shocked.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say it wasn't that slow. That's the wrong word. Maybe one or two scenes were a little slow. Because it was full attention. It didn't have the action that I thought it would have. It was a little bit less action, which isn't like that's just a preconception. It's not a strike against the movie. It's just like, man, I still wish I could see Tarantino do a balls to the wall action movie. Like in World War II or something. So really set anywhere. I don't care. Just do an action movie. But yeah, it's fucking the tension in some of those. The first scene and the bar scene, especially.
That bar scene was
the tension, and then Brad Pitt is so funny, and Christoph Waltz is so good, and it's a great one.
I would have loved to see Adam Sandler have been in the film because I remember hearing that originally too. And I know that was Eli Roth had a lot of fun in that, and he probably fit like age-wise, fit the role better. But I still think Adam Sandler. I think he is actually. Don't laugh. I think he is a good, capable actor who doesn't really get roles, and people just don't accept him in roles that aren't just his goofy slapsticky stuff, his juvenile humor. But I think when he does do roles that give him a chance to kind of spread his wings, same with Jim Carrey, these guys are capable and they can deliver decent roles. Like I know he did like Reign Over Me. I know he did Uncut Gems recently, which I thought were really good. And I would have liked to see him in kind of a more, even though he would have brought a comedic slant to it, I think he would have been capable. And I would have liked to see him as kind of a straight action movie. I would have liked
to see it too. I was looking forward to it. I was bummed out when it turned out he wasn't going to be in it. Yeah.
Did you ever see the film that he did? And Funny People. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I liked Funny People. I was surprised. That was one of, because for so long I didn't really like Adam Sandler movies, and I saw that was like finally a movie that was pretty funny. And he did a good job.
He did Funny People instead of Inglourious Bastards.
That was a mistake.
Maybe in hindsight, but I think he did good in Funny People. To be honest, I liked seeing him.
Good job, and it's above average. But how could anyone turn down Tarantino ever?
Right?
Scheduling, or plus Judd Apatow was that guy was on fire in the late 2000s.
He was.
I mean, anything he touched, knocked up. Anything that.
Yeah, it was.
Seth Rogen. Anything he was in was just moneymaker. And I can't stand the guy, but that's anything he touched was popular. So I don't know. I guess it is easy to look in hindsight. You should have done this, but I can see why he would jump at something that if you wanted, because his career was it was on the decline in the late 2000s, and I just don't know how Inglourious Bastards would have gave him a money push, especially in the supporting role. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't a paycheck.
Right. It would have been a good role. I think I'll always think of that when you brought it up. I was like, that's right. He was going to be in that. I'm always going to have a thing thinking, I wonder how well he could have done the role, you know?
Yeah.
So apparently the Boondock Saints 2 came out this year.
Yeah, I
Yes,
noticed
it
that.
We didn't watch it.
I was thinking
I saw
about
it in
watching
theaters.
Oh, I remember when they were filming it.
Really?
Because I remember the girl from Dexter.
Julie
played in
Benz.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
remember
that
It was
movie,
like
man.
after...
How could we have missed that?
Judd Nelson was the villain in there,
Oh,
and
Judd
then Peter
Nelson was in it.
Fonda was the second villain.
I almost watched it, but I chose Harry Brown instead.
Okay. Well, Boondock Saints is I thought it was hilarious. I brought this girl I went on a date with. I took her to see it, and she fell asleep watching it, and so there was no second date. By my discretion, I'm not going to sit there and waste money on. She can't handle the Boondock Saints. She can't handle me at my worst, my best, whatever.
I remember I really liked the first one. So how do you feel like it measures up to the first one?
I think the first one was to be honest, I thought maybe it was a little bit not as good. Didn't measure up to the first one, but I think they still made a good follow-up because there was still a lot of humor in it. I thought the cast was the cast was just stacked. It was good. They got a really good cast. I loved seeing Judd Nelson back because I always liked him, and I thought he was an underrated
He was big in
actor.
the 80s. I remember him.
Yeah, but he never got nothing else. It was like always Johnny Bender, and then no one ever really cared what else he did after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really thought that he was a good actor, and he just couldn't break his. People wouldn't accept him as anything else. But there's some funny bits in there. Julie Benz was great. She has kind of a Southern accent. You'll hear her. She's good. She's a good actress. I don't know. Check it out, man. If you like the first one, I don't know why you wouldn't get a kick out of this one.
It's one of those films that I've just thought about watching forever and just never got around to it.
I can't believe we forgot to even check to see.
The runtime mate was a little bit maybe too long. I think he got a little bit of Tarantino syndrome to him, where he just thinks that the more you put on screen, I can go for 4 hours, and it's a great film. You got to sometimes dial it back and get
Same director?
Yeah, Troy Duffy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He burned all his bridges in Hollywood. Well, he got to rebuild one. So,
Zombie Island.
Zombieland, Arturo.
Or sorry,
Zombieland.
Yeah.
That's
your
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo, Zombie Island.
Zombieland was fun, and I enjoyed it. It's not like my super. The humor.
Well, there was a zombie craze around this time.
Yeah, there was.
I remember they were popping out like Dead Snow and then Zombieland.
And then
Walking
Dead came along.
And then you had
wasn't Bill Murray a cameo?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Remember they accidentally killed him.
Yeah.
Because they thought he was a zombie.
Well, now wait, Ben, did you see this movie?
Oops.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Well, it's been out forever. It's been more than 10
there.
years.
Maybe he didn't hear it. Maybe he didn't hear
okay,
it.
maybe he's. Oh, okay. Nothing.
It was nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Did you see Zombieland?
I saw the second one. I didn't see the first one though.
What?
Yeah, I know, weird.
First one was the best one.
For whom the bell tolls. I love that scene, man. That's so cool.
Was the second one good at all?
I liked it.
it was okay.
It was fun.
It was okay.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I don't know. I feel like
Rosario Dawson's in it.
Yeah,
I don't think I saw the second
one. She was in
one.
that. It was all right. It's not terrible, but to me, it's not as good as the first, which so often happens with sequels. It's really hard to kind of recapture the magic.
Yeah,
I still
think
the
though
quality.
the comedy is still pretty good. Like for some scenes, like especially
it's definitely the comedy.
Dawson, like thanks the gun, Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the reason I even knew about this film before it even came out is because they filmed the whole sequence where they filmed the amusement park. That actually, my college town, they filmed it down there. There's a place called Wild Adventures. And they actually filmed that entire sequence at that amusement park.
Oh, that's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
cool.
don't forget, Amber Heard had a little cameo in that one.
Oh,
in the second one,
first one,
right? Oh, I totally forgot about. I
Was
try
she
to
the one
forget
in the
about
beginning,
everything about
or
her.
not the beginning?
Yeah.
Like a
Oh, she was
flashback.
the girl. She was
The
the one who
girlfriend,
turned
yeah.
into a zombie at the beginning, right?
Yep.
Which is
Yes.
ironic. Which is very ironic now.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord.
She's dead
I was-
inside. Don't worry. She always.
I
Yeah.
gotta shout out
No,
some good dark movies from 2009. All of these
Okay.
I saw once, probably like a year or two after they came out, not in the theaters. And thinking on all of them, I'm like, man, I would rewatch all these this week if I could find them and not pay for them. But so I want to ask, because they're not like big, well-known movies, but I think they're really good in terms like serious adult dark tone movies. And you guys might remember the girl with the dragon tattoo, the foreign trilogy.
Oh yes.
That was really big for foreign films.
Yes.
When it came out. They remade it like a year or two later.
Yeah, it had Numi in there. That's
Numi Rapace introduced me to her, who I really like. Numi, like I'll sit through half a bad movie if she stars in it. You know, like I'll start some crappy Netflix movie if she's the star and like make it halfway through.
She's a great actress. I love her.
I really like her, and this was what I saw introduced me to her, and just like the tone of it and the style of it, I just really liked. And you know, I think all of them had it. I don't remember them separately enough now, but I think the first one just impressed me right off the bat with just that had really kind of dark street style to it that I really liked, and her casting. And it's like, yeah, it's about time I revisit those movies because they were really big.
In a minute.
I mean, for
they
foreign
were.
independent movies, they were big.
Yeah, they were.
I think I saw those after. Oh, sorry, Artur. I was going to say I think I saw the originals after I saw the first one. I mean the English language version, and then I went. I liked it, and then I went and I saw the original, and I remember that they changed the character. Like the character that Daniel Craig played was the character. That other guy, he's passed away now. But the same they changed the character up a bit, and they changed the girl. Like they made in the English version, they made her a bit more like infatuated with Daniel Craig's character,
right?
As opposed to in the original, it was kind of the other way around. The guy was more infatuated with her, and she would just kind of like it was totally they did it. They changed things.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think what the because I like aspects of both. I think like what David Fincher did with the remake, I think there's a lot I appreciate about that, but I think it's more so the aesthetics, like that intro sequence when you see the title and you see the credits and you see I know that song. Why the title's not coming to me, but I love that song, and it's very dark and it's very eerie. You see all this kind of black liquid, moving and forming these different shapes and all these kind of references to the different books and the stories and the characters and all of that. So I think it does work in a lot of ways. But to me, what's so effective about, which is not surprising, but what's so effective about the foreign version is that it just has a different kind of edge to it. And of course, aesthetics are not necessarily the main focus of it. It's more so about the performances and the story progression and all of that. And I think there are some things that work in a way that the remake doesn't necessarily capture. Like the first time that, which some people can kind of interpret however they want to, but the first time that that the main character and I think it's Blomkvist, the first time that they hook up, so to speak, it's very interesting the way that they kind of film that and the way that happens versus how it kind of happens in the remake. Also something very chilling, and it was less obvious to me as far as who was who, because I couldn't quite remember the names watching the foreign version, and it was a shocker seeing the reveal of who was who at the end of it. And there's a moment I will never forget where once he's figured out who it is and he's kind of in this room with this person, there's a point where he's basically explaining like why he's done all the horrible things he's done and what his mindset is. And then right in the middle of that, he hands, that character a glass of water, and he drinks it, and he kind of looks at him as he drinks it, and he's like, oh, see, there it is. that's the part that I enjoy, because by this kind gesture, you now think that there's hope that you might survive, and there's hope that I won't do this really horrible thing to you, and you're not going to die some horrible grisly death. But that's the hope. Like, it's like that was his thrill. The fact that I was like, oh my gosh,
wasn't that
under my skin. I was like, whoa, like I've never seen a character really just like, you know,
dark.
An antagonist really like
experienced in sadism.
That was great.
Yeah. Well, isn't that Stellan Skarsgård?
Well, in the
yes, that's he was in the remake. Yeah.
Because I was thinking, that the remake was really good, and it was like, damn, the original was so good. It was almost like they didn't need to do it, but they did a damn good job. It's almost like they didn't do a better job, but it stands on its own. I still give it, I don't know, the foreign, like you said, has a different kind of edge to it that I can't really, I don't know how, I can't put my finger on or describe what it is, but it had something that to it that I think also Numi. I think Numi seals it for me, but
she was really good in there.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
but Daniel Craig and Stellan really did a good, and David Fincher. There's a lot to like about the remake as well.
It's true. What was that, Arturo?
I was just gonna say, has anybody ever heard of Black Dynamite?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
The hell was interrupting my kung fu.
The only thing I remember, like, how I found out about it was the cartoon that they played on Adult Swim.
Oh,
I never heard of it until I saw the cartoon. Like,
that is one of my favorite trailers in the whole wide world. Watch the trailer for Black Dynamite, and it's almost as funny as a movie. Like it is so ridiculous, and the narration of it. You know, he drives a $5,000 car and wears a $100 suit. You know, just all these like rhymes are laying this. It is so ridiculous, and like dude, I love that movie. I love Michael Jai White for one. Dude's amazing. Martial artist, everything. Dude, I love him as an actor.
They shot it in Super 16 format
and stereophonic quadrivision. You know, it's like just all these like ridiculous things. And you know, he goes, donuts don't wear alligator shoes. You know,
is it? So it looks like so that movie did come up when I was looking for things to watch before the live stream. I did see it come up in my search. So they filmed it to look like it was from back in the day. Okay.
Yeah. So, and they actually spliced 70s and some 80s. Missing in Action with Chuck Norris is one of them. They took parts of that movie and spliced them together pretty, and it flows well. Like you're watching it and it looks like it was a late 70s, like a blaxploitation film. Just no budget. And then they like, there's just so much vulgar stuff but the martial arts scenes are filmed like legit almost like they really would do them like with Jim Kelly back then or Bruce Lee. And so they're not like totally condescending the material, but it walks the line perfectly to where it's spoof, but it's still enough straight faced to where you don't leave the picture. You watch it and it's actually freaking. I loved it, man. I don't know. It was just right up my alley.
Comedy, just a big comedy of crazy nonsense. From what I'm reading so far, he is a Vietnam War veteran and former CIA officer, skilled in kung fu.
Okay,
but that doesn't in there. Apparently, Ghost of Abraham Lincoln appears and disarms somebody.
What?
Yeah, it's like that's what got me. Like, what the heck?
Tricky Dick knows kung fu too. Richard Nixon.
Yeah, Nixon.
Oh no, we must watch this sometime.
Dude, the scene where they're figuring out the Anaconda malt liquor scene, and that is just so ridiculous. But it's just like it reminds something that maybe Roland Emmerich would have done with Moonfall. You know, like it is such a conspiracy thing.
You know what?
You gotta trigger me there.
Black Dynamite. The only reason I knew about it was because they had a cartoon a few years ago.
Yeah.
Was
it a series or just a
cartoon series that I saw clips of on Adult Swim?
Okay.
They did a comic run too.
Black Dynamite. As well. I thought it was like this cartoon that just recently popped up, but no, apparently it goes back to this movie.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
funny, man. It may not. It's probably not for everybody, but there's if you watch those movies, you watch action stuff, you've watched some blaxploitation, Shaft, you've watched Hammer, seen those movies from the 70s. I mean, this movie was done well by people who love those, and you're going to get a lot of little nuances that your average person may go, "Oh, that's hokey." And like, no, it's actually really accurate,
Oh, okay.
So
I
and
would
like I said,
like to watch Black Dracula. That one looks funny.
Blackula.
Blackula, I think
Blackula.
it's called.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I've
Blackula.
seen bits and pieces of that here and there on
Like he was
streaming.
bitten by Dracula.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
I don't know. I mean, I saw like there were some serious scenes where one of the guy's girlfriends was, I guess, turned into a vampire, and he couldn't like stake her. Like I know there was like a few like serious scenes, but I don't know. The concept's kind of funny, like because he's. I don't know.
Isn't this
My
from
favorite.
you're talking about that's from the 70s, right?
Yeah, that was from the 70s.
And didn't they make multiple movies of that?
Yeah, they did, and then they put I think they put that same character in Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's funny. Okay, I wanted to ask about The Blind Side.
Oh yeah, I
Never saw it.
Overrated.
Yeah,
liked
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when we went to go see it. Sandra Bullock I don't care for her too much anymore at all, though, so I haven't seen it in forever. But and I was excited and happy because Michael Oher came and he joined the Panthers for a little bit.
Oh
yeah. But now having found out like what he thinks about the movie and how things were represented, like or how things were portrayed,
inaccurate.
now I'm just like, I don't think I could watch that film. I mean, like I like it just killed all interest in ever rewatching the movie for me.
So
didn't Sandra get the Oscar that year for it?
Yeah,
I think she did.
She did.
I mean,
what were you gonna say, D?
It's
No,
good.
what happened with Sandra Bullock?
Oh, I'll tell you at some point, maybe off camera.
Okay.
Why I just don't care for her anymore.
Was it one of those things? Because we've talked about it.
It has something to do with something she did with her son.
Oh,
She did
I
to
remember
her
that.
son. You know that, Derek.
Yeah.
Yes. And how she actively searched for a way for this to happen. And I'm like, okay, you're on my poop list. Don't like you anymore. I'll explain in more detail later, Derek. I mean, D. Oh, D,
know.
and you're supposed to write me on Twitter and tell me this thing. What movie was it about? Oh, shoot. You were supposed to.
You know what? I completely. You smelled that glass.
Yes,
onions?
you did.
Oh.
I was gonna just say, like, I think it's a good movie, but
yeah, if you think it's all fiction, it's
they made it as if he didn't know how to play.
Exactly.
Right.
And that was
He knew
his
how to
problem
play.
with it. He knew they acted like she taught him everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, was that?
I thought it was a good movie. I remember seeing it, and I thought it was good, and she did fine. I thought it's just one of those movies that everyone started praising, and then you finally watch it, like, and you're just like, is this the first movie you've watched this year?
Yeah, right. I mean, we saw it like early on, and so it was like after that, it really sort of like, everybody loved it. Yeah.
Well, then also this year, speaking of Sandra Bullock, she did one called All About Steve.
Oh my gosh, that got
right, which she actually won a golden or the Raspberry Award for. Yeah, the Razzie. She won that, and she actually went to collect it. So kudos to her. She pulled the Tom Green.
That's funny.
And that one sat on the shelf for like 2 years, and then they released it when her Blind Side hype came out and everything. And
so that's like that was from that same year.
2009. Yeah, I got a stack of all the movies I watched here, so I show them.
Oh, okay.
Astro Boy, the movie.
Yeah.
Was that an animated or a live action?
Yeah, it was an animated.
Okay.
I remember when that came out.
Did you watch it?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't either.
Moving along.
Yeah, has anyone seen The House of the Devil?
I remember the poster and it looked intriguing, but I didn't get to actually watch it.
God damn it! I just
what?
I just got Simon's diss on Avatar.
Oh,
because I was just like,
Oh yeah, you just noticed that.
you mean the private chat?
No. The Smurfs look, because I was just like, God, the Smurfs were. He always picks like the top box office hit. And
Oh, I just
they
noticed
weren't
it.
anywhere in the top 10.
Well,
this
see,
year.
that was my
Like,
thought process at first when I saw his Avatar, and then I'm
I
like,
just
oh, well, was there
noticed
maybe a movie that came out with the Smurf?
It's
Son of a bitch. It
What-
took me.
what-
I did notice. It took me a while.
Oh, it did. It took me
Good
to.
one,
You picked up
Simon,
on it
good
sooner
one.
than I did. Because see, when I'm on these, a lot of times the screen is so small because I
Yeah.
want to see the chats. So I have to
Mhm.
make the screen small. So I couldn't. So all I just saw was like maybe if I had my reading glasses on, I would have been able to
Just
tell a little
bring
bit
up
better.
the screen. Just open it up, like make
Yeah,
it
but then I
bigger.
can't see the chats. So I just
just
keep
like
the
But then you
screen.
get
blueberries
to
a
see
lot.
the Smurfs.
Simon got me. It was a delayed hit.
That's so funny. And Simon hasn't even chimed in, so I wonder if he's asleep or off to get
Wonder.
coffee or something. Yeah, he's. Oh no,
heard.
they're-
Let's just say I don't have the tolerance Colin does. Right now.
Oh, I got you. He's feeling good.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Get back to it then,
You guys don't
Simon.
want to sound foolish.
Can I give a shout out to a movie I really enjoyed, and I'm hoping someone else here will have seen it as well.
Okay.
It's called Law Abiding Citizen.
I have that written down here to talk
Gerard
about.
Butler, Jamie Foxx, Leslie Bibb.
So I enjoyed it, but he went over the line. His character.
Oh,
I know, but I was like, look, okay, there's a line, and I felt like he went over the line when he started going after people that weren't,
yeah. I liked him bringing down the judges and the people, because we all have those little fantasies in our head of what we could do or what should happen to these people who are essentially you feel powerless to
oh my
change
gosh,
them,
yeah. Especially if you
or
listen
anything.
to enough true crime podcasts and hear like good stories of people that have been wrongfully convicted, and it's just that feeling.
And then
that helpless.
and when they're in their position of power, the arrogance, knowing that they're in their position of power and that they're
Yes.
basically untouchable and that they can't, there's no way for them to really lose their jobs or to be held accountable. Or if you want to try and hold me accountable, well, you have to navigate a system that you don't know how to navigate, but I do. And so, and they have that smugness to them. So obviously the best thing we can fantasize is that, someone sticks a bomb in their breakfast cereal and they blow up, right? And that's poetic justice. I mean, I'm sure the FBI is going to contact me any day now over that one, but no, I'm just saying, those movies have a satisfaction, like just a basic gritty
living vicariously through their
Right.
actions. Yeah.
And not to say that maybe they deserve to die, but when you feel like you're totally helpless, it's like, well, what other options are for people who are so instilled in a system that is we as everyday people could never take down.
Yeah.
Right? So he circumvents that, and after devoting his life to it, starts to get revenge on the people. And again, talking about like Harry Brown, this is obviously an exaggerated. You have to suspend your disbelief for it to work.
Yeah.
But just the way he was able to get basically revenge on people who had, look at Jamie Foxx, he was the ladder climber, and he convinced him to take a raw deal on this stuff and let one of the killers go and just arrogantly defended it. You remember that? It was just, he was unrepentant. And
I
then,
remember that he went after Jamie Foxx's character. And
Yeah,
I've
he did,
only
and-
seen the movie once. And I think it was when he started to go after like Jamie Foxx or someone connected with him. And I'm like, look, that Jamie didn't he's not the one that did these bad things to your, I was just like, okay, I get you going after certain people here, but then you're going after people that they weren't the ones, but
Yeah.
if I rewatched it, I might think differently about it because I first saw it like a long time ago when it first came out.
it's just, I think on a basic level, it's satisfying. It's entertaining.
Mm.
And like I said, you always like to see movies where people, well, I do anyways, where very bad people get their dues. And
Yeah.
I could watch those over and over and over, and they're just, they give me hope for the world. So, but yeah, I like
Yeah,
that
I had
one. So I
that
wanted to
one-
give a shout out to Law
I
Abiding
had that one
Citizen.
written down to
Princess and the Frog.
Oh gosh, is that movie that old?
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably one of their
Holy-
last best animated movies.
That was hand drawn animation, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I remember like it was like to this day I can remember watching it on the big screen,
Yep.
and I'm like, it's really well done. It's also set in a historical time period in New Orleans.
Yes. No, I've never
Oh
watched
my
that. I
God, if
refuse
Matt
to
was
watch
here,
this.
if Matt was here, If he was here right now,
I won't be watching that. No.
Are you sure, Sam? We can put
I'm
that
positive.
on watch party. Watch party. Like,
No.
come on.
Oh,
I want to do
you know, D, we'd be cringing the whole time. I just don't know.
what? It's a nice family
I
friendly
want
movie.
to
What
shout
are you
out a
talking
movie.
about?
Has anyone seen Valhalla Rising?
I have not, but I almost picked that to watch as well for the 2009.
Oh, if
Yeah.
you can watch it.
Is
I
it
know
good?
I talked about it on here before, and yeah, it's extremely good. I think it's like I said, it's another dark and serious movie, and it doesn't have a lot of dialogue. Okay, it's like the movie that Northman wants to be. I don't know. I shouldn't say
Yeah,
that.
you
Northman's
know
pretty
what? Because when I saw the poster for it, I thought of
Yeah.
the Northman for whatever reason.
good. Yeah. It's the
Interesting.
it's way better. I think it's like Northman. It's what I would want the Northman to be more
Okay.
like, which is just more brutal and violent and quiet and less dialogue. And Nicholas Winding Refn does it. He's really good at like dark tone, like brooding, like quiet aesthetic and dark. And the story is like it's Mads Mikkelsen in one of the best roles. He plays this like Viking that these other Vikings take prisoner, and they're sailing on a crusade, and they end up in like Canada, and then it's just all violence breaks out, and they all start killing each other, and Indians start killing them, and it's just like it's one of those movies where it's just like there isn't really a plot. It's just violence and chaos. It's just these dumbass Vikings, in 1100, land in Canada and all start dying, like and killing each other and killing Indians and get killed by Indians. And they don't really know what's going on. They think they're going to fight the crusade. It's like it makes you feel like you're there because it's not like this glorious like we're on a mission. It's kind of like they think they are, but we're seeing it as like nature, which is just like these violent savages. Like the violent life. That's what they get. I don't know. They get what and it's really just it's a violent movie that is weirdly compelling.
It's such a nice family friendly movie.
Yeah.
Nothing bad happens in it.
And Mads Mikkelsen does a great job. And yeah, it's just like I highly recommend it if you have the chance to watch it. If you think you would like it based on that description.
Yeah, I saw the Northman and I wasn't super crazy about it. It was okay.
It had good parts, but overall, like I don't think it was that memorable. I think Valhalla Rising was memorable to me. I want to watch
more so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we wrap up like the movies, there's one more that I actually forgot to mention, and that was Michael Jackson, This Is It.
Oh yes, I went to go see that.
We went to go see that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. But then so I used to be obsessed with Michael Jackson back in the day.
Human Centipede.
Like
oh my god.
Obsessed with him. And then I started to sort of believe a lot of the stuff that had been, like all these things about him and the possibility of all these things with him. And then the trial happened. And he was not, whatever the verdict was, it was in his favor. And I didn't pay attention to the trial in depth, but I read this book written by, I think her name was Aphrodite Jones. She's like a crime reporter lady. It was called The Michael Jackson Conspiracy. And that sort of changed my entire perspective about what I thought about him in relation to all this stuff. And I was like, wow, a lot of us, we've been really, just the media and the way they distort and twist the facts. And they still do that crap. And so when he passed away and this thing came out, I was like, sort of, my mindset about him had changed back to sort of the way it used to be. And so I went to go see it and I liked it, but it was very sad, to watch it knowing that he was gone.
Yeah.
But I went to there was like a tour that came to the area too. I can't remember if it was called This Is It or it was some sort of Michael Jackson thing. And I went there with a friend of mine as well, maybe around that same time or a little bit after. But Full Metal Alchemist. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brotherhood started in 2009.
Yeah, that started in 2009.
Oh,
Fairy
okay.
Tale started in 2009.
Okay, well that was a big shift. We did have some more movies to.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the shows in a bit, but I'm trying to figure out my top 3 here.
Well, I wanted to mention some that I don't think have been talked about unless they
I have
were.
one more mention at least.
Too.
Okay, y'all go ahead then.
I was gonna mention Splice.
Splice?
Oh
Yes.
I
Brody
saw that
Payton.
movie once.
Yes.
Sarah Pauly.
I have a distinct memory. I don't know if I talked to anyone here or you, Sin, or anyone else about it, but I feel like I was just talking to someone not that long ago about when I went to see Splice, because I'm a solo theater goer, but I don't mind friends when they come along. But I just so happened to run some folks that I knew as I was going to see a movie, and they were going to see The Last Airbender, and they were like, "Oh, well, are you sure you don't want to come watch that with us?"
I remember you telling me. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm like, I haven't seen the series, and I don't have an investment. Like, there's no point in me doing this. They're like, you sure? Or you can get a sense. I think they were trying to. I think they just really wanted me to join. I was just like, I don't feel like there's any need. Not even just because I haven't seen the series, but I just didn't get the best vibe from the trailer. It didn't look like anything I would be interested in. So I was like, no, I'll go see Splice. And I have to say, Splice is maybe delightfully is the wrong word, but it definitely is distinctively creepy and disturbing and unsettling and kind of gets under your skin. It almost reminds me of obviously a less sexual, kind of goofy, over the top version of Species. Kind of stuff they did with that. Not that obviously the concept is very different, but just kind of that experimental. We're raising this child and it kind of starts to evolve and it takes on all these different, forms. And it was really, I don't know, it was something really compelling watching it from that standpoint. I like Adrian Brody, and I don't know, it really kept my attention, and I was always kind of like on pins and needles trying to figure out, okay, what's the next development, what's the next twist, what's the next thing, and of course, I still could not have anticipated where that went at the end. It was definitely a WTF moment, especially at the end, especially if you think about I would say the context of everything. It's messed up to create a child and then for that child to then grow up and do certain things.
Yeah,
so
right.
So that was an experience. But and I was actually mad we never got a sequel because it was a really interesting cliffhanger that they did. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, after I watched the movie, I walked outside. I think I could tell I had kind of looked at the time, so I knew if I hung around, they were probably going to be getting out of the theater. And when they walked out of that theater after seeing The Last Airbender, when I'm telling you, you could fry an egg on their faces, coming out of their ears. They were like, "Oh my!" Like they were heated, and it was so interesting. So I'm glad that happened because I got to kind of get a direct experience seeing what people actually thought after. Yeah, nobody was happy, and I was like, "Oh, well, I enjoyed the place." Sorry.
You felt like you really dodged a bullet there, then probably.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that movie once, and I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't mind rewatching it again. I think it'd be something Arturo would probably like as well. What else were you going to mention? Did you have another one to mention, D, or was that also just Colin?
Oh,
I got the last one. Has anyone seen Bad Lieutenant?
No, but I've heard
New
about
Orleans, the Nicolas Cage one.
Yeah,
he's a corrupt cop, right?
Yeah.
See, that's why I wasn't interested to see that. I didn't want to watch it, so I didn't watch it.
You've seen it, Derek?
Yeah, I remember that was a big to do when it came out, and then it didn't get a wide release. Like they kind of got cold feet on it, but I remember there was a lot of hype for that one when it came out.
I really, really liked it. It's one I want to rewatch. It's more than a Nicolas Cage corrupt cop movie. It's a Werner Herzog film. And
it's one of his. Okay, I didn't realize
really,
that. Is he redeemable in any way in this movie, though?
Probably. I don't think so. I mean, I guess you'd have to have a pretty low moral standard.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe by the end, See, I want to rewatch it because I don't remember the whole every moment of the story. I mean, there's a lot of. I remember watching it with some of my friends, and they're like, "This kind of makes me uncomfortable." And I was like, "It's just funny to me." But like, it is really dark though.
The first one was very dark, so it's like I'm surprised they actually came through with a sequel. Like
Oh, they did have a sequel.
Yeah,
Well, this is the
one
sequel.
with Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the sequel. I never saw the original actually.
Oh, very original too.
Even worse, maybe.
Wait. When you say original, okay, wait. Is this a remake or it was a sequel?
Yeah, I think the original's just Port of. Wait, no. Bad Lieutenant, and this is Bad Lieutenant: Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh, I thought that was the same. I thought Bad Lieutenant was the same as Bad Lieutenant Port of whatever. I didn't realize there were two separate. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I never saw the original, so I don't know what the deal is. I never got around to it, but man, the Port of Call with Nicolas Cage, it's just fucking good. It's like again, I think there's a sense of realism to it that Werner Herzog adds with his direction and the story that you really feel. It doesn't feel like a Hollywood movie. You feel like you're there on the streets with this dude, and he really doesn't give a fuck. There's just like scenes that are really cool where it's like it's a crime scene and Nick Cage. It's like one of my maybe my favorite Nick Cage role, where he's just like, check out this crime scene, and he's just walking around and like there's drugs and he's just pocketing drugs and doing drugs.
Okay.
And the scene where my friends were uncomfortable with, where he basically like, yeah, it's pretty bad actually. Like, he basically rapes a chick, and while her boyfriend's there, and he's like holding him at gunpoint.
Oh yeah, definitely am not interested at all in watching this
like,
movie.
You stay. And I was like,
it's a very mean movie at times. You know?
Yeah, sounds like. And I like Nick Cage, and I don't like to see him play baddies. It depends on how, you know.
Like the same with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I don't like to see him play a bad guy either, even though he was very good in Training Day. There are just some actors it's just really like, please don't play a person like that.
Yeah.
So I guess he's irredeemable. I mean, if you have low enough moral standards, though.
Well, I don't know. Some of the stuff you've described is like, okay, that's really low.
Movie, like, I think he doesn't let a guy die, so he might be irredeemably morally.
Hey, how you doing?
It's a good movie though, because it takes you there. It takes you to this like, oh, you're seeing some dark shit. Like, it's not like the Hollywood sanitized version of like, ooh, he killed a guy. It's like, no, this is a bad dude.
Right.
And you really feel like you're with him. But yeah, it's weirdly compelling though. For me.
It's weird because it shares the same name as the original, but because I couldn't remember what the connection was. And there is no connection. It's like it's not a sequel or a remake. And the director was really irritated because it's like, well, why are you using this title? And the only thing they have in common is kind of the corrupt, I guess, police.
He's a lieutenant when he's bad.
Oh.
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't know that. That's funny. Yeah. Werner Herzog. He's like, fuck you. This is what I'm calling the movie. I'll just come up with some other thing and add it. I can see that. I mean, that's kind of funny. He's like, no, Bad Lieutenant, good title. I don't care. I'm keeping like, that's. No,
I think I saw that Taking of Pelham, by the way, just responding to a comment. That's the one with John Travolta. Yeah. I don't remember much about it. I saw wasn't there an original?
Yeah, that one had like Walter Matthau or
yeah, I saw that. I saw that one too, but I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Can I give a shout out to a movie I love from 2009?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that one. Whip It.
Oh,
Roller Derby.
Oh,
Roller Derby Girls, directed by Drew Barrymore and co-starring Drew Barrymore. And
oh, okay. I vaguely remember that movie, but I never saw it.
Oh, I loved it, man. I thought it was awesome. I was Ellen Page and God, who else? Like Kristen Wiig's in it. I know you like Kristen Wiig, Colin. I remember you liking her.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't think I saw. I remember though that I think I see a preview of what she's in.
They didn't. Yeah, it didn't get a whole lot of notice at the box office. I mean, it did okay, but it I thought it should have done a lot better. It was a smart film. It was fun. It made me actually want to check out roller derby, and I actually went to I went to some of the local roller derby matches over the years from like the Rat City rollers girls and the Oli rollers, the Olympia ones, and it was just fun to watch because they all had such crazy nicknames, which was part of the fun. And they really do have like goofy like kind of pun nicknames. If you ever watch roller derby and stuff like that, and it's just a cool movie, man. I dug the heck out of it. I love the soundtrack. Had 38 Special on there. You know, I love 38 Special and Dolly Parton and the Ramones. I mean, it's just cool. And Jimmy Fallon had a small role. So I know it's like a lot of people have seen it, but
Yeah,
I thought it was a fun, feel-good movie. It was fun.
I vaguely remember that one. Okay. Well, I had a few that I wanted to mention that I don't know. Okay, so I never saw this movie, but I totally didn't realize it was this old. The Revenant?
Oh yeah.
Wait, that's not DiCaprio. Movie.
No, DiCaprio was like
there it
2016, right?
That was
That's what.
2016.
Yeah. So why did this movie come? Why did this movie come? Damn, stupid spam.
Yeah, I did. I already blocked.
Sorry.
it.
Is there a
Okay.
different movie titled that?
Maybe, but it was coming up, and it looked. You know what? It might be a stupid database issue. But I was looking it up.
Yeah, this one is a horror comedy.
Oh well. Oh, okay. Okay, because I was like, have you seen it?
I feel like I've seen. I'm not. It's not completely unfamiliar to me, but I don't. I'm pretty sure I haven't.
Okay,
seen it.
all right. Well, see, now I'm a little curious, but yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was the Leo DiCaprio thing. And I was like, this is that old?
No.
Okay, all right. And then there was a movie, I think it's from Australia, called The Loved Ones.
Yeah, I
You
heard of
guys-
it, but I never saw it.
So I actually really like that movie. It's basically about this girl, and she wants this guy to take her to the prom, and he turns her down, and so she kidnaps him and tortures him. I mean, that's basically what the story. Yeah, with the blessing of her father. It was crazy and bloody. But yeah,
feel like, yeah,
you've
I'm
seen me
dark
watching it,
stuff.
probably.
yeah, like wasn't he like in a
That's at least as
hole or
dark as-
something?
He was maybe, I don't remember. Just remember she
I
had him
remember,
tied up
like-
to a chair.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I just happened to look. I was gonna say, not that I understand critics are not necessarily the hallmark of our viewing experiences, but I noticed that this got a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The
So I
Loved
think-
Ones?
The Loved Ones, yeah. So I think the critics and the
Oh.
audience really liked it.
Okay, yeah, it was a decent. I'd never heard of it before until a few years ago. For whatever reason, I saw it and I played it while I was working and paid attention to it and never forgot it. And I was like, man, I just wanted this girl to die so bad. But she would just like she played that part really, really well. So if you like that sort of thing, I think it's probably worth checking out if you haven't seen it. And also, Triangle. You guys seen Triangle?
Oh, that movie.
Was it Melissa Leo in that?
Melissa George.
George Leo. See, I get him. Okay, I know the
It's
difference.
a-
But
it's
their
a
names in my head always get flipped.
Time loop movie, and it was pretty smart, pretty well done, I think. And I saw it I think only once, but I've seen bits and pieces of it since then. And it's if you like time loops, kind of reminds me a little bit of the Time Crimes movie, which was in Spanish. That one was actually pretty good as well. And then another movie called Surrogates with Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah, love Surrogates, man.
I enjoyed that. I only saw it once, but I remember enjoying it.
I think that movie is one I always thought of when we talk about films that kind of predict the future, and like how are kind of reflective of attitudes or how people behave and just things like getting it right. Like them, Surrogates is one that always came to my mind. Like in human trends, like how now that we, communicate a lot through text message or through direct PMs or whatever, you know what I mean? Like on Facebook and we can just kind of remove ourselves from conversations or things we don't want to be a part of, or kind of hindering social skill or just an ability to confront. In Surrogates, I like how when people would live to their little surrogate creatures or little machines or whatever and go out in the public, when Rhoda Mitchell, his wife, didn't want to have a conversation with him, didn't want to have, she just shut off her machine. You remember that? He was like the last.
No, I don't remember much of the details of that. I just remember that I enjoyed it.
but it reminded me of how people behave. And I remember thinking that initially, it's like how people, when they'll read messages and not respond. Like if you have to ever confront somebody, they won't respond. If you try and talk to them in person, they won't meet in person to talk anymore. And I thought it was a sad kind of commentary on, given, an exaggerated sense of living through a surrogate being. But it's like, the satire doesn't seem that far off. Like you can recognize it. And I appreciated it for that. And of course, it was a decent detective action movie, sci-fi thing. But I like that. Like it was like one of those like, yeah, they had their finger on the pulse. They know.
Right.
Look, people are denying experiences so that they can try to.
Agree, I don't think I didn't even see that movie, but it bugs me how people are like that, like, passive aggressive. I don't know how to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't have a cell phone. Because like I can't deal with people's like, I'll talk to you when I'm in the mood kind of thing. I'm like, no, I either call when I have something to say and I'll leave a message if you don't pick up, or I'm not interested in communicating. And I don't deal in other people's terms like that. Like the whole digital text, cell, internet communication thing is so fake, and I get fed up right away. So like, that's why I just can't even. So that stuff,
same way, man. I don't like. It's one thing I can't stand is when people, like you were saying, it kind of makes people a little. What's the word? Self-centered is overused, maybe, but where they determine like I only engage when it's on my terms, when I want to. There's no reciprocation, like in an old day where you'd call someone, you'd have to talk to them, you'd have to do stuff like that.
That's the allure of cell phones.
People don't even answer half the time you call. That they just won't even answer, and then they'll shoot you a text message right after, and you're like, oh. And then when they want to respond, they'll really hound you. But then when they don't want to respond, they'll ignore you. It's just, and you can't do that with face to face. You know what I mean? Or even on the phone. It's really difficult.
Exactly. This cell phone is undermining human psychology because of that. Because of the social way that it tricks people into thinking that they control their whole social world, when really it's like body language and other shit is how everyone judges each other in real life. And everyone wants to escape that. Right. And like they want to live in the artificial world where the filter of the phone is their control. And
it's like a safety net. It's like and that's what surrogates was, is that people can just reach. How many times have you seen people who maybe if you like, I've seen in real life, if people have been like, someone confronts someone in real life, they pull out their phone and like pretend to retreat into it. And you're like, oh, wow, well, you couldn't have done that 10 years. I mean, it's just a sad commentary on how people are having an inability to kind of navigate those scenes, or, not to say that you have to handle aggression well. No one ever really does. But I'm just saying they don't even have the skills to maybe de-escalate. They see the phone as an outlet. Like I can just go hide in it, but it's like, you're still here. I can still see you. You're right in front of me. You know what I mean? And surrogates was like that. People lived vicariously through their surrogate machine. They never left their home. They tried to go out and substitute experiences through their surrogate machine, and as a substitute that for going into the real world and aging and doing things. They kind of lived a fantasy, like we would say. That surrogate was the tangible embodiment of how we like present ourselves on Facebook. You know what I mean? Where we don't age, we have the best picture. And
really good movies from this year where people escape reality by inhabiting surrogates.
Yeah.
Big blue surrogates.
Here we come back around to Avatar. It's always got to come back around to Avatar.
Yeah.
Timely themes. It is speaking to these themes that we want to escape our bodies, because it always cuts back to him in his little pod. And you're thinking like, dude, wouldn't you? I mean, especially if you're like paralyzed or in a really shitty situation, it's like, hey, want to go live in your like super fun body in a super fun world? Or do you just want to sit in your little room? It's like, my morals are going to keep me in my little bedroom where I'm resisting the modern trend of being fucking awesome. Like, it's like, I don't want to do that shit. But then it's like, well, everyone else is, and it's like, well, it's probably going to be expensive, and it's a broad thing, but I do think Avatar touches on that serious issue in a way where it's, why wouldn't people be doing that shit if they can? Like, and it's scary. It's like, what's the point of being a human if a human is worse than the alternative out of some like moral stance? Like, I think because the alternative is scarier. I almost think I'd rather just die like all the other humans than roll with the dice on whatever that shit is going to turn into if I had the option. But most people will watch what others do around them and then decide. Like, that's what we'll all probably do if we have the chance.
So we began this podcast with Avatar, and we're ending the film portion with Avatar.
No, I'll never forget.
We got more. Okay. Do we want
I'm
to talk?
ready for
Do
my-
we want to talk about our top, whatever, 3 or 4 or whatever?
Let's go.
We got to hear something from Simon.
Simon. Oh, I know.
Simon has
Simon's
been
got
so
a chime.
quiet.
This is the quietest Simon has been
I know. Wow.
since that time he slept through his
He's still
alarm and showed up
sarcastic, too. Come
half
on,
asleep.
Simon, let's go.
Okay, well, whatever. Are there any more to throw out and talk about, or did we want to start?
Yes, but Simon
Okay.
is on now.
Simon.
I don't know. You've pretty much covered everything.
Oh, so you were just twiddling your fingers, like just listening,
Yeah.
waiting for the right moment.
Give us a rundown. Give a rundown. Top 3, top 5.
It was all.
Well, they're all pretty good.
It was all very good.
What?
We almost got a sentence out of him, but we'll have to wait a while.
Is he high?
Yes.
He's high.
Did he just start laughing out of nowhere?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't tolerate it as well as Colin does. Okay.
Is that what he was thinking? Oh my god. That was the first time I've seen Simon like really loose.
You need to watch Avatar now, and you'll get it.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
but-
Okay,
Of
well,
course he was suggested to him when he was that high.
did anybody have any other movies they wanted to shout out? Okay, Dee.
All right, well, I guess Simon's out for right now.
Okay.
Ben, do you have top
Proceed,
3?
Dee. Oh my gosh. Okay.
The last one I'm going to throw out is Grey Gardens. This is
Gardens?
a kind of a biopic of sorts made by HBO. It's about Edie, I believe it's Edith and Edie Beale. They were the aunt and the cousin, Jackie Kennedy. Slash later Onassis. And I don't know if anyone's seen it, but there was a very famous documentary about the film in the 1970s that was about their experience as kind of like these socialites in like the 1940s and 1950s and kind of their, experiences since then. And the biopic kind of goes beyond the original documentary, and it references it kind of references, like, it shows their life before the decline, and kind of there are a lot of factors that then bring them to the point to where we see them in the documentary. There's a point where Jackie Kennedy does factor into the story, and it stars Jessica Lange and Drew Barrymore as Big Edie and Little Edie, and it's a really compelling story. Like, their performances are really like spectacular, and the story as a whole is really interesting, and of course it's based on a true story. It has after a certain point it has a bit of a depressing edge to it, but I think the performances also, like, it's like even the original documentary kind of had this element where there was an element of kind of sadness and tragedy to it, but because their personalities were so vibrant and kind of vivacious, and they were such interesting people, and they led these interesting lives, it kind of is kind of a balanced thing. And like I said, the performances from Jessica Lange and Drew Barrymore, I think they both were nominated, for like Golden Globes and Emmys and things like that. But it's a really solid film, and I think it's definitely worth watching if you guys have the time to check it out.
She's a great actor, Jessica Lange.
Oh,
Have never heard of that movie, but yeah, she's Into the Forest. I just wanted to say to actually say hi to Ahmed. This is Ahmed. He works with me at Sound Booth Theater. He's one of my colleagues. He's our lead audio engineer. So it was cool to see see him tune in. And also, we've been doing movie talks on our Sound Booth Theater live stream. So we're going to have a live stream. I think it's January. Oh, crap. Ahmed, which one is it? January what? January 11th. And the movie we're going to talk about is The Gift with Kate Blanchett. Because it has to do with
Holmes?
Yes, and Katie Holmes, yeah.
Got my
Because
attention.
we're promoting Seance, one of our new episodes, Seance, and this has. So I was looking up movies that have to do with people that can talk with dead or seances, and this was the one everybody picked because it's a Sam Raimi film. So anyway,
okay. That reminds me. Speaking of Sam Raimi films, there is one other film I wanted to shout out from.
Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah. Did anyone see that? I thought it was pretty good. It like better than I thought it would be. Like I liked it. It had good visuals. I thought it had good visuals.
I saw it, but like in passing, and I just only have a vague memory of the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. But I feel like
it surprised me.
I feel like if I rewatched it, I would enjoy it because it's Sam Raimi. But I was like, oh, it's that typical horror ending, like that sort of thing. But it's spoken very highly of by a lot of people.
It felt cliched in a good way. Like it felt like it had all these tropes that it knew it was hitting these obvious tropes, but it was doing them in a way where it was like, look how cool this, like, this is why this shit.
They pulled it off well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, gets back to the fundamentals of like, this is why this shit's cool. It's like, it looks cool. It's scary. Like, so I liked it.
It has a girl, I think, wasn't that like her last movie until she like retired, sort of, from acting?
Who?
She was the actress from that horse movie that I brought to your attention a while back.
Wait,
Angelica or something.
Alison Lohan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her.
Maybe she did retire because I don't remember that.
Now you're talking about the girl who played the main character?
Yeah, like she was the main character in that
she'd retired
movie
from
with
acting.
the Black Stallion.
Oh, I didn't
One
realize
that got attacked by whatever wild animal. Because
well,
I was looking her up. I was looking her up, and I saw, what was the movie called again?
Drag Me to Hell.
Drag Me to Hell.
Maybe that was the one.
Wow, she's young. Why did she retire?
I mean, she did a few things, but she's not acting as much.
She just doesn't. She just not. Okay.
She was in that horse movie I was telling you about.
I don't have much memory of it.
There was a lot of
she found that out about Eva Mendes too. I didn't realize she had retired. It's like sometimes you don't see people and you assume that maybe you missed their projects, or there are different reasons for that. But I didn't realize Eva Mendes also had actually kind of retired some years ago.
I didn't realize she had either. Maybe is it because maybe she's raising her kids? Like she and Ryan Gosling have a family.
Right.
So I didn't know.
It was like Alison Lohan, I think the same thing when she got married to this director and everything. So, and granted, I mean, I understand, which is unfortunate because I mean, regardless, I still enjoy, seeing people recur in different projects, and it's fun being able to still see them. But I also know that the industry, there's a lot that comes with it, and I know it can be a lot to just have to constantly deal with. So I do understand.
Yeah.
On the outside, it can be a
Yep,
lot.
I'm correct. It is her. Mm-hmm.
Can I shout out 2 quick movies? Just I'm more curious if anyone has seen these.
Okay.
Public Enemies.
We talked about that, Arturo.
Oh yeah.
It's not like a great movie, but I liked it. I mean,
Johnny Depp,
Christian Bale, Michael Mann directed, gangster movie. It was one that I forgot he was in that. Yeah, I had high hopes for it. I was like, it wasn't so great, but it was good. I liked it. Just good cast, good action movie.
I thought it was decent.
And then I don't know. I doubt anyone's seen this movie, Enter the Void. I don't know if it's French or what. And
It sounds familiar.
It's this weird kind of art movie. I didn't even watch the whole thing, but my friend told me to watch the beginning of it. Is really trippy and cool. It's this dude who's hanging out, like a drug dealer, American, young dude hanging out in Tokyo. And the whole beginning, first 40 minutes of the movie is shot point of view. Like lots of
I definitely haven't seen that.
lots of
Yeah.
long takes, like you're seeing from this point of view of this kid walking around through Tokyo, and it really is like shocking because he kind of like some police come and he just says he runs to the bathroom to flush his drugs down the toilet, and he says he has a gun on him just to buy himself some time, and then like the police shoot him, and then he's like falls down and he's like, I think I'm dying. And in that moment, because you spent 40 minutes in the point of view with him, it's a real trippy moment. You're like, fuck, like I'm dying. Like it's this weird, like you really sympathize with like the situation went from like I'm gonna get in trouble and arrested to being like I'm on the ground bleeding out. Like, and it was just a real like I don't know, because of the whole point of view thing and because of that, you really feel like you're dying, not like you're dying, but like that you sympathize with that mindset of like this is the end. Fuck, like this was. So it's weird. But then after that, the movie becomes this trippy, like he's a spirit and he's floating around Tokyo and gets real weird. And I stopped watching it. But it's really a weird movie. But that beginning was memorably tripped me out. And just the fact that it's kind of like this young dude walking around Tokyo. I love Tokyo. I like the idea of walking around Tokyo at night. It's so cool looking. And then it just turns, it feels so real. And then all of a sudden he dies. And it's crazy. So I had to mention that. It's just one that stuck with me.
I haven't seen Bruno. No.
Sasha
Baron Cohen's.
Yep.
The dictator.
Has anyone seen Matchstick Men? Was that a 2009? Ahmed had brought it up.
2003.
Oh, 2003. Oh, okay.
That was Nicolas Cage, Sam
Yeah,
Rockwell.
that's okay. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Is Nick Cage? He said it was. Do we have any more shout outs or do we want to list our top?
I got a couple. I wanted to bring up 3 movies. I'll do them real quick. They were all, unfortunately, basically went direct to video, but they were ones that got kind of fumbled around, came out in 2009. This one, which I thought was actually, it was a change of pace. It was a Kevin Costner film. It's called The New Daughter. It's a horror movie.
Oh, I saw that.
Okay, I don't know if you can see it from the
It's
cover.
got the girl who played in, oh shoot. Was it the girl who played in Pan's Labyrinth or somebody?
She was Ivana Baquero.
Yeah.
Samantha Mathis, Noah Taylor. I mean, it was actually it had some unsettling visuals in it too. The creatures, at the end, they had been kind of plaguing his house and trying to get to his daughter and stuff.
I feel like that deserves a rewatch.
I just thought it was something different. Like it was actually a competent horror film, but to see Kevin Costner kind of do something, and then it just got sent basically direct to video. So that was kind of a bummer, but I recommend that one. This one got kind of shuffled. This is Sarah Michelle Gellar. It got sat on the shelf for a couple years. It was from the same producers of The Ring and the Grudge. And it was called Possession. I don't know if you guys can see that one.
Have not heard
Glare.
of that one.
Sorry, I'm always trying to
Yes,
show
definitely.
you.
It's very glary.
Sorry. No, that's
have not even heard of that one. Okay.
Yeah, that one was from Bob Yari. He did a few movies, and then in like the mid 2000s, he had a production company, and he produces Yellowstone now. But his company kind of went bankrupt real quick, and a lot of his movies sat on the shelf and then just got sold off and sent straight to video. And Possession was one of them. It has a very Japanese feel to it, and tailing, and I don't want to spoil talking about it, but it's really, the DVD is really interesting because it's like the last half hour they reshot and they present the last half hour. You can watch either version of it. And but I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm a fan of her.
Okay, cool.
And the third one I just want to shout out, they went direct to video, was called Outlander. Sorry, I'm going to try one more time to show you one, and then sorry, glare. But it's called Outlander. It's got Jim Caviezel, Ron Perlman, and John Hurt were all in it. And it's
I have a vague memory of that too.
Yeah, it was a Blockbuster exclusive when it came out, but it was a big budget film, had like a $50 million budget, which was pretty sizable back then.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a futuristic medieval retelling of Beowulf, where he comes from Earth is like seeded with people, and like colonies and stuff, a medieval colony at this time, and he's one of those, comes from the future, and not the future, I'm sorry, they're just more advanced than we are. We're like colonies. And anyways, he brings a alien with him, and it gets a Morlock gets Morwin. Sorry, they're called Morwins in this tale, and it is kind of siege, a little like Viking outpost. Anyways, it's a good, interesting film, inventive a little bit. So check it out if you want to. I liked it. I thought it deserved a lot more notice than it got. And I always liked Jim Caviezel. I thought he was actually pretty good, and he unfortunately kind of got relegated to direct to video or TV shows. You know what I mean? And anyways, so those are 3 I wanted to give a shout
I wrote
out.
it down because I do remember the title of that, but I don't think I ever saw it, and I'd never heard of Possession. This movie, Hachiko, I will not watch it because I know what it's about.
With Richard.
It's just
that
too
movie.
heartbreaking. No, I won't watch it. But I think he's talking about the one with it's got Richard Gere in it. Ahmed, if you're talking about the movie with Hugh Jackman, wasn't that 2010 or later? 2013. Okay. Unless you're talking about something else. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we doing the top 3s? Is that how it works?
Yeah, the top 3, or sometimes people have more than 3, and
Top
that's
3 or 5 or
that's
whatever.
perfectly fine.
Or 4.
I'm afraid to ask Simon.
Oh yeah, not when he's high.
Wake him up. Someone.
Well,
shake
I
his
was still
camera.
having a fit of the giggles inside, and Dee's talking about this very serious, subject matter in this movie and Grey Gardens, and I'm still like having
Laughing
to
at the
contain
fact
the
that the way
giggles because okay.
What a way for him to end this decade discussion.
It's memorable, that's for sure.
Yep.
Okay,
no,
so who
memorable.
wants to start with their top however many?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll be real quick because it's kind of like a 3-way runner-up tie between all these movies I want to rewatch, and then I'll decide. The Bad Lieutenant, Valhalla Rising, and The Girl in the Dragon Tattoo trilogy, because they're all dark and serious, and they stuck with me, and I want to watch them again and see if any of them take the cake. But then there's 2
Okay.
that definitely, and it's obvious. I mean,
Avatar, right?
Avatar's number 1, and Inglourious Bastards is number 2. Those are 2 like classics. You
Okay.
know, I would own them. I do have special edition Blu-ray Avatar. And honestly, after rewatching Avatar a couple times, it's kind of, if it's not my favorite movie, it's the one my favorite movie has to be my favorite movie, because it's so good. I love it so much.
Look
Even
at
if no one else,
That's
even if I never meet
awesome.
another soul who does, I might have to go to a different country. I mean, something like that.
Poor Colin.
I'm envious of Simon. Illegal to get high here.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I used to think, like, if I was rich, where would I live? Like, anywhere in the world? Like, I don't know about America. Weed's illegal. I don't want to be breaking the law. But now that it's legal here,
Well, it's
I'm
legal
like,
in some state. Oh man, when I went to Vegas,
yeah.
holy crap. Smelled it
Everything's legal in
everywhere.
Vegas, yeah.
Good gosh. Like number one, as soon as you get off the planes, they've got slot machines right there in the airport. And then like almost everywhere you go, you smell pot. And I was just, and I actually do not like the smell of pot at all.
Me
Like
neither.
it is a cute, thank you. It stinks
Awful.
to me. I can't stand it. And one of
It's just as bad as weed because, like,
that is weed, Arturo. Pot
Okay.
is weed.
All right. Well, because sometimes some people come into the theater and I can smell
You can
something,
smell
and
it.
I'm
So
like,
it got
oh,
this
I don't
funky,
like that.
sweet-ish.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And boy, yeah, it's like walk past a cloud of it, and I was like, oh, am I gonna get high smelling this stuff?
See, Simon, look what you did. You're making us talk about drugs now.
It's legal
Sin
in
is
Missouri. It's
sin.
recreational. It just passed last month.
Called
recreational.
skinks. Yeah, yeah,
Skunk.
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 Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, okay. So
Actually,
top-
let's let Ben go next. He's been.
Okay, I can go next.
Yeah.
Sure. So my number 3 would have to be Up. I really enjoyed Up. Number 2. So you guys didn't mention this one actually, and I was going to mention it, but I forgot. It's called Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
That one came up in 2009. So, and I watched that a lot when I was young.
Cool.
A lot.
Didn't Spike
That
Jones
was
direct that?
That was
Did he?
really.
I don't know. Did Spike Jones direct that? He was
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that movie was that old. Wow.
I think
Okay.
does it have to do with a kid that walk? Okay, we actually have that movie. We never even watched it.
Never have seen it. Nope.
No.
Okay, sorry, Ben. We interrupted your flow. Go ahead.
All right, and then my number one, I think it would have. I think didn't the Saw movie come out this year as well?
Yes,
6,
we
yeah.
actually
I like that one. That's my
Six.
number one.
Yeah,
Saw
6.
6. Okay.
Yeah, the 6th one. I was thinking about bringing it up, but it's like, well, I mean, it seems to come out almost every like year after year after year.
I loved Saw 6. I was going through a bad experience after a car accident, dealing with like 2 different insurance companies that were involved, that like negating over, medical bills and stuff like that. And I remember how horrible those people were, like the insurance adjusters, and like trying to drag this into mitigation in court and everything, and like just cold people, right? So it was very cathartic seeing Saw 6, where all these like penny pinching insurance agents all got.
Oh,
this
it had to do with that.
massacred. It's like,
Okay.
this was very therapeutic to me. Thank you. And no, but I like Saw 6. I have soft spot for him. This is the year 2009 where Saw got basically dethroned and Paranormal Activity took over the mantle. Box
Oh
office
yeah,
wise.
isn't that when it started?
Yeah, Saw 6 underperformed, and it was due to Paranormal Activity basically stealing all its box office thunder.
Interesting.
So interesting moment for
Okay.
2009. It was kind of changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of crazy things in 09.
Okay.
Okay,
Who
well,
wants to
who
go
else?
next? Well, I can go.
Yeah,
I
I think
wrote down.
Simon's out of commission right now.
I'm afraid to ask Simon to
Yeah.
become more vocal. I actually wrote down 4, and only one of them has been talked about.
Wow.
Sherlock Holmes. And this is no particular order, honestly, but I really enjoyed Sherlock Holmes. I have fond memories of when we went to go see it at the theater that Arturo now works on Christmas Day.
He
My
told
mom-
us. We did talk.
Yeah,
we
you
missed
talked
it.
about that.
Yeah.
It was so stinking crowded. People were sitting on the steps.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
told him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just and it was like, and we had trouble getting into the first viewing that we wanted to go see, so we had to wait, and it was just, but I have really fond memories of that, and it was just, I loved that movie. I loved the comedy, and I loved
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. and the way he did his. I just felt like he was brilliant in there. That was one of the reasons I was asking Simon before I had to leave again, because there's been a lot of chaos down at the border. Like, how well did he do? Because I thought his accent was great, but anyway, so that's one of them. But the other 3 that I don't think we've talked about, unless when I was away, was A Perfect Getaway
No.
with Timothy Olyphant, Mila Jovovich, and
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, yes, in one of his first roles, one of his earliest roles here. And that was a really fun sort of thriller, suspense-ish film. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. Colin, you'll probably like it because it's got Mila Jovovich in it.
I'm just like looking it up because I'm like, how did I miss that?
I really enjoyed that movie. I've seen it multiple
What is it called
times.
again?
It's
'Cause
called
I'm-
A Perfect Getaway.
Oh.
And it's got a bit of a twist to it, but you think you know where things are going and what's up, but then
I did see that with Steve
Okay.
Zahn in it too.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I overlooked that one.
Yeah,
I did like
that
movie.
was a really
Yeah,
fun movie. And then another one is Trick or Treat, which is a
Well,
horror.
I thought that was 07.
Well, it came up as 09.
Well, it was filmed it was scheduled for original release in 07, and then it got put on the shelf, shuffled around, and
Yeah,
then
there
sent
was
to
some
video
weird.
in 09.
Okay, so yeah,
So
that's
it gets tricky, and it's like,
right.
what-
Well, I'll count it as an 09. I enjoyed that a lot. It's just I thought it was cleverly written, and you think you know what's going on again, and then at the end you really don't. And
Yeah.
it just basically tells like 2 or 3 little stories within the same night, and the characters kind of intertwine in some way in the story. So I thought that was well done. And then the last one, I don't think you guys talked about. Pretty sure you probably didn't, because this one isn't talked about very much, or known, but Solomon Kane.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
I actually really enjoyed that movie. It's not the as far as like the visual effects and stuff. It's they were on a limited budget, but it's got is it James Purefoy? He dude who played in Rome.
Yep. You already
Yeah,
know.
and
Rome was my
yeah.
favorite.
I mean, I'm still watching Happen Leonard, so he's kind of on my mind. So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, Solomon Kane!" I really enjoyed that movie. There's something about it that I appreciated. So yeah, those are my top. I mean, obviously, Harry Potter, Half-Blood Prince. I enjoyed that too. But from my top ones, I try to talk about ones that maybe don't stand out as obvious. So yeah, those are mine.
Did you like the second Sherlock Holmes?
I did like it, but not quite as much as the first.
Oh.
Yeah. I would love to see a third one, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do one. I keep hearing that they're going to.
They are going to.
It's just, but I don't think, what's the guy's? Oh, Guy Ritchie. That's it. Those are his movies, right? Yeah. Guy Ritchie. Yeah. I don't think he's attached to a third one.
I think it's someone he works with directing.
But it's taken forever, and it might be like one of those sort of King Conan things. It's just never going to happen.
Well, I think a lot of the people in there got too big too quick, like Guy Ritchie, and then Robert Downey Jr. was tied up now that the Marvel stuff was taken off, and now that he's kind of out of it, I think I realistically could see him doing it. And plus, Jude Law is not really in demand. I'm sure he's game now. Those people, I think I
hope they make it happen. I will definitely go see that if they do. So those are mine.
Cool.
Who wants to go next?
About Perfect Getaway. I almost want to watch that again now.
I want Arturo. I don't think you've seen it. Have you, Arturo?
Huh?
Have you seen A Perfect Getaway?
No.
Okay. I think you. Oh, I saw Rampage. That one.
Oh yeah, Year One. I forgot about that one.
I haven't seen that one. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I was disappointed in Year One. Honestly,
you didn't like it?
More. Yeah, I wanted to like it. I mean, it wasn't anything Jack Black does is at least okay, but I just thought it wasn't awesome. Anything he does also could be awesome, but it wasn't awesome.
Well, I guess I could do an honorable mention. I mean, technically, I would think it would be 07, but I would say Trick or Treat as an honorable mention since they say 09. But I don't know. Trick or Treat's that one's kind of weird with its release.
Well, it was supposed to go to a wide release in theaters, and they got cold feet and shuffled it and put it on the shelf for like almost a year and a half, and then just scuttled it and sent it direct to video.
Yeah,
because it was, if you were on MySpace back then, they already were heavy into marketing. They had banners for it. If you remember that, they used to advertise like movies on the front page of MySpace. They do like a whole theme, and Trick or Treat was one of them. So they were really heavy into the marketing. You already had posters in the movie theaters.
They released it on the big screen here this year in October.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
I would have loved to have gone to see it, but that didn't work out.
15 years in the making. I finally got to see it in theaters. So.
Right.
By then, people have already seen it.
Some people.
Okay, well, number 3 would be Harry Potter, of course. Number 2, Glorious Bastards, and number 1, Sherlock Holmes.
Nice.
Because I like Sin, I had fun watching it on the big screen on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Crazy day, but
that was crazy. But I do have
I remember all the
memories of that.
I remember all the gifts I got that day. I remember going to see that movie, and then we did homeschooling for some reason.
Why did we do that?
I don't know. Not you. It was your dad.
Your teachers.
It's my dad. Okay,
yeah.
My dad. Okay.
And then I remember playing Call of Duty Nazi Zombies. That was fun.
Nice.
Okay. I think Derek and D are left.
You want to go first, D,
or uh-oh. Are you muted, D?
He's muted.
Go ahead, Derek.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Me, okay, my favorites of 2009. I'm gonna I already mentioned one of them, Whip It. Love that movie. I saw it in theaters 3 times. I just became a huge fan of it. And it impacted my life. I went and saw roller derby afterwards. So, and then I'm gonna go. One of the other ones I really liked. This one has not been mentioned yet, but here you go. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see the poster there?
Oh, the box.
Oh,
Right.
like
I remember that.
Wait, what? I can't tell what it is. What is
I
it?
see. I'm looking at it in reverse. It's
a box. Oh, not black box. The box.
the box.
Oh, with the is that the one with Frank Langella?
Frank
or-
Langella, yes.
Oh,
And-
About the decision.
yeah, yeah.
Gosh, I don't remember. Is that Cameron Diaz in there as well?
Yeah, Cameron Diaz, James Marsden,
Oh wow.
written and directed by Richard Kelly, who did, Donnie Darko, Southland Tales. I saw it movie in theaters and I was just enamored by it. Loved it. I thought it was engaging. The mystery of it was really got its hooks in me, and I like that they tied things that like real world stuff, like with the Voyager satellite going, Voyager, the Viking one going to Mars and stuff like that, getting the satellite imagery, setting it in real world NASA, because his dad worked at NASA on the and it was just really cool to me. I dug it, man. I love the visuals of it. I thought Cameron Diaz did good. Frank Langella was terrific. I thought he was like unsettling, like just some of the scenes where just how he delivered his lines, about this box being delivered to people you don't know, and just I love Frank. He's terrific. The guy's an expert actor. He can any role he does, man. He just knows how to make anything good. So I really recommend the box. It may not be for everybody. It's a little long, but
Make anything
I dig
bad.
that one a lot.
Make anything bad.
What?
Am I high?
I don't know. Are you?
Oh, you said he doesn't know how to make anything good.
No, he knows how to make anything good. Anything he does.
He knows how to make anything
Yeah,
good.
any role. He can just have a mundane role.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Well, okay, no, I'm glad I was like,
Sometimes
you
the
didn't.
Oh,
audio.
no, we're gonna
yeah.
lose Colin now.
Sorry, I
Don't
had
go there,
strep
boy.
throat up until I still have it technically, but
Yeah, he
I'm-
didn't even know if he was going to be able to make it today because his throat. He couldn't talk last week.
Yeah, it was
So-
bad. Man, I couldn't even drink water. It was just unbearable. It was
Oh man, don't you
Right
hate
when you
that?
need to hydrate and you can't.
Yeah. I don't have any other thing. Cold, flu, COVID, give me whatever. As long I can drink. When I got strep throat, I don't even want to put a cough drop in my mouth. It just hurts.
Ugh.
So
I feel so lucky to have never had that before.
yeah, I don't know where I got it. Hopefully it wasn't from sharing
Only
drinking
6
bottles with
months
the
straight
bums
you
and stuff.
started
But
having bad
Oh.
dreams from it.
I'm laughing at
So worth it.
so worth
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I want to tell you a little story about my 12-year-old self.
Okay.
When I was 12 years old, my cousin Corey Michaels Movies, he's a YouTuber, introduced me to Call of Duty World at War. First time I ever saw Call of Duty. Well, yeah, the second time I've seen a Call of Duty game be rated M for mature. And lo and behold, he introduced me to Nazi zombies, and I hated it. I didn't like it. It was scary.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The only thing that made me comfortable was when you build the berries because it had that Lego Star Wars sound effect.
Oh,
Anyways, didn't like it. A year later, I got hooked and played it like crazy. As a 13-year-old starting off my teen years. The
and
end.
that's what that's what you is that what you made the Lego stop motion things from? The Call
Yeah.
of Duty, the radio things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a story about your 12-year-old self. Okay.
Yep, my 12-year-old self. And this picture of me here is a 13-year-old self.
This was in 2009, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, D. What's yours?
Yeah, so I had to do 6 because I didn't realize there were so many. In this.
Here we go. Let's go.
Yes. So I had to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I had to start with Orphan because at 6 because I just think it was a really effectively done horror film. Very and it's like with horror, it's hard because there are so many different kind of ways to approach it from different vantage points. And I felt like there was something very not only effective about it, but kind of like touching in parts because it is dealing with a sense of loss and trying to build family and bring someone into the fold and like there's a lot of kind of like interesting smaller emotional touches there, but it also isn't afraid to go there and be very intense and in your face. And of course our lead performance, which is crazy to think just as a child actor to undergo and take on the dialogue and the stuff she had to do in this film, it was bananas. And then this was also my introduction to Vera Farmiga, who I am a fan of because of Bates Motel. I love that show.
Oh, she was so good in that.
She was like, I love, like, yeah, she was great as Norma. But yeah, so I had to go ahead and knock out Orphan. Then I'm gonna throw in Grey Gardens. Like I said, it's a very unique story, and I think it's one of those kind of like the truth is stranger than fiction. Kind of seems like one of those stories you can't really make up. There's, but then at the same time, there's kind of an ugly, kind of sad reality to it because it also is dealing with mental illness and kind of what happens to people who are very rich and used to a certain type of life that becomes disrupted, and just about kind of how lives can be disrupted in that way. And of course, it's really interesting tying in the element of Jackie Kennedy and just seeing that all play out with really great performances. So that is my number 5. My number 4 is Splice. I think again, with the science fiction is another genre where there's so much you can kind of explore and get within that genre. And I think there's something so effectively, even though you would think we've kind of seen elements of this before, kind of playing God and experimenting and I guess creating something. But there was just something so unique and so disturbing and very, very creepy about the way this unfolded. And like I said, just the investment in seeing this being grow and see the really devastating consequences, of course, when you tamper with things beyond your control. So had to throw in Splice, another kind of sci-fi horror one that was really solid. For 3, I have to throw in Watchmen. It's a very unique kind of subverting of the superhero genre. It is not something I think, because I still remember watching the first trailer for it, which I love, but I had no idea, because at the time I hadn't read the graphic novel, and even the graphic novel goes a lot deeper even in the film. But it's a different perspective of superheroes and the world and an alternative view of history and like how that would work within society. And that's another one. Very brutal in ways I wasn't expecting, and had a lot more to say than I would have thought. I would have thought like, oh, this is just another superhero. It's not. And the story, the graphic novel it's based on, definitely has a lot of layers to it. So I had to.
Watchmen is a very smart film and graphic novel. I was actually surprised too, and I think that's why I got so hooked on it. It wowed me.
The graphic novel is like a classic. Yeah, and it's hard if you read the graphic novel first, like I did, and then you see the movie. It's like there's no way you can fit it in a 2.5-hour movie. Like I get that they tried and they did a pretty good job capturing the tone and a lot of important elements though, and it is a pretty cool movie. It's Zack Snyder movie. So yeah, it was cool, but it's almost like the graphic. If you like the movie, you should check out the graphic novel because the story is way better. If you like the story, the graphic novel is like the full version of the story. It's one of the best graphic novels. Did you see the HBO TV series?
I started, but I didn't get to finish. So I have to go back and watch the entire thing. But what I saw, I really liked.
Oh,
I would like to watch that movie at some point.
You gotta read the graphic novel to get the most out. Well, you don't have to, but I think you get even more out of the HBO show because it kind of connects. It's like a sequel to the graphic novel, as if the movie had.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love like I said, I love the graphic novel. I think it was to my benefit.
Derek popped off. I don't know if maybe it was a connection issue.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully he'll come back.
But I think I'm finding, because I'm a huge reader also, even though I'm a huge reader, but I'm finding that it's really to my detriment to read something before I watch the adaptation for it, because it just seems like
that is a that can be a problem. Or if you read it like a lot of time beforehand.
Right.
You know, because then if you have a lot of space in between the reading of it and the watching of it, your memory has sort of faded.
Right.
Maybe, hopefully, a little bit.
Or a little
Yeah.
bit of both.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where even the best, I mean, we're talking like the best. I can't think of one that's off the rip, but even the best adaptation of a book still will always lack whatever element because mediums are so different. And in books, you can go into a character's head and flesh out certain details that you can't
Right.
film. Like in even Harry Potter, the Goblet of Fire, there's a whole sequence where we see the Quidditch Cup, the World Cup, and what's happening. Like we can almost get like a play-by-play of that entire sequence. But of course, in the film, we can only kind of like, hey, we're about to start, and then we cut to the next, scene.
Yeah.
There's time to show that entire sequence. But Watchmen, really, really solid, even with the limitations of it being a film. Really, really solid and a very distinctive film. Number 2, I had to go with Up. It's so funny because I had no interest in seeing Up at the time. It just looked. I mean, I thought the visual of the balloons and the house looked interesting. But I'm like, what is? I just remember seeing like, why is there a dog in this? Why is there a bird in this? Why is there, why are there balloons? Like, it just seemed like a hodgepodge of random elements. So I was just kind of like, I don't know what to make of this. And of course, you watch that opening scene and it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anyone saw coming. And just what it had to say, about life and old age, and then kind of, as corny as it may sound, it actually taking adventures and actually living life and venturing out in kind of the unexpected places that you can go and end up in when you take that initiative, even if it's unexpected, like in this case. And there's a lot you end up with. And that final shot of the house on the cliff, and the way they circle back around to the beginning, I just thought it was really a really beautiful, very poignant film. I said, I would not have seen coming. So, and then my number 1, of course, is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Just very, like I said, I love, I'm all about foreign content anyway. I love some, even though it can be kind of intense, and it deals with some very difficult subject matter. It is very hard to watch in a lot of places, but Numi Rapace, her performance really makes this, and I love how it's not afraid to really go there. And even as far as what you would consider antagonists, I thought I had kind of seen all the layers there were to see as far as someone to consider a villain or an antagonist. But I'm telling you that the not only the actor, but just the dialogue in that moment, which I'm guessing may have been taken directly from the book, but just the idea of someone being so sadistic that they take pleasure in the fact that they are giving this person like this modicum of hope, even though they know, like, no, you're still going to die. And I love it.
Well, I would love to rewatch those, and I remember I enjoyed all of them. But one thing that specifically stands out to me in both that one and the English language remake, which is the one I saw first, was that scene, that assault scene of her. It's like, God, it was just made your stomach just ugh.
Yeah.
But that was tough.
Besides gore, it's always assault scenes that bother me.
Yeah, I don't do well with that.
It was just
like in Hellsing Ultimate. That one scene out of all the gore and carnage in that show, that one scene was the one that bothered me the most.
Which show?
So messed up.
It's an anime, Hellsing, about
vampire.
it's about a vampire. He's basically, he's called Alucard. He's basically Dracula. And he was taken by the Hellsing organization, and so basically now he's their kind of like their, not really their servant, but kind of like their like their heavy. He's like their heavy. He's the dude that goes out and takes care of things for them
because he
has to. But he has to listen. He has to do what they tell him. But he's bored and he likes to do a bunch of like killing and stuff. He takes pleasure in it.
Suicide Squad thing.
What's that?
Like a Suicide Squad thing.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But it's I really enjoyed it. I also loved the guy who I love the voice talent of the guy who does the
Alucard.
voice. Yeah, Crispin Freeman. Um, he just got a very distinctive voice. I've loved his voice ever since I saw
His
Witch Hunter
laughter
Robin.
is also really good.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's a good show, but you gotta like if you guys are
Yes.
ever gonna watch it, you gotta be prepared for that one scene in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
show.
And I was
It-
gonna say
that-
the only minor, and I do mean minor, the only minor gratification, circling back to the girl with the dragon tattoo, is that
Yeah.
she does get her
How
revenge.
she takes
Yeah.
care of
Yeah.
things. Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. But it's minor gratification because it's still like I never liked like when I saw the original and I was like, okay, are they going to have the same? Oh yeah, they are. They did. Okay.
And I feel like was it worse in some ways? I feel like I almost feel like it might have been. I don't know if it was exactly the same, but I almost
I
feel like it
felt-
might be more brutal.
You know what? I feel like I should rewatch to see, but I felt like they were very much the same. The same
Same.
sort of thing happened.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
But
You don't need to rewatch it anymore. You just skip that scene.
but yeah, but that was my first exposure to her, and I remember that I had seen those posters of the movie
Yeah.
before I even saw the American version or the English language version, whatever. And I was like, well, she looks really different. Like she's very striking and she looks scary and she looks like an idiot, like she looked like somebody to just be like trouble, like somebody that I wouldn't like.
Yeah.
But that's not her character's abrasive and everything, but she has there's something about her that is interesting to watch. I think it was just, with the mohawk.
Is she the one? Is she that actress that was in the second Sherlock Holmes movie?
Yes, that's her.
She's the one that literally had to like force herself to learn.
She learned English like boom, just like Anna de Armas, and just jumped the pond and has done pretty well.
She's done great.
Like she's the chick that chicks who dress like that are trying to look like.
Yeah, she didn't even have to try. She didn't have. It was no effort. Exactly.
Like, yeah, you usually see that person, you're like, oh, they're a poser. They're trying to come off like they're this tough chick. But it's like, no, she actually was that tough chick.
Yeah, she was. She was excellent.
I think that's another reason why it's interesting also. Like you do see those that kind of persona and you kind of have an idea of what that is and maybe how that will play out. But there are a lot of layers to the character and it's interesting seeing her progression. Even when I think about that last shot at the end of the first film, and you see how she's dressed and what she ends up doing, and kind of like flipping the whole situation on its head, it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was in the first version, right?
Yes. Didn't they release all three of them at once, or did they not?
The same year, I'm not sure, but close by at least, if not once.
Okay, sorry,
Arthur. The girl that played in the American version, isn't she the sister of that girl that played in Megan Lee?
Yes, she's
married to Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, I don't think they're married, but they're I think they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but they've been together for a while. Yes, that's her. Mm-hmm. And she shaved her eyebrows. She looks so different. It's like it is like you look at her face and you're like, what is it?
Dude.
Yeah,
that's
it's like
the most unsettling look to me.
Yes, no, it is. I was getting ready to say that exactly. You look at her and it's unsettling. She's got an unsettling face, and you're like, "What is it?" Oh, she has no eyebrows, or she was bleached them or something. She did something.
I think they might have been bleached or something like that. And I remember reading somewhere, and I don't know if it was actually in the book or if it was someone's almost kind of like an interpretation of it, but it's almost like the way she kind of dresses herself and kind of adorns herself and carries. Almost like where it's kind of like stay away, back away, like don't come near. And then like I said,
probably do the shows real quick because we're almost
to that kind of also with that. So
yeah, I feel like I need to rewatch that. I need to introduce that to Arturo.
Can Simon do the top 3 one last chance?
I don't know. Should we? I mean, okay, so we have like 8 minutes left before our 4-hour time limit runs out.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to do the shows real quick.
No, can he type
it? Oh, wait, there's a lot of private chats. Is it Simon? Oh, it is. Hold on.
Yeah, he's just texting right now. I think he's too afraid to unmute the mic in case he... You know.
He's saying something about. Has anyone seen the discussion around the phrase "nepo baby"?
I think it's kind of funny.
Should we tell Arturo? And then he says, "I'm joking." And then he says, "No, no." He says, "No." Twice. No, he says, "No." I guess in answer to the fact that
Anyways,
he's not going to give us his list. It's not safe for him to unmute.
you watch this Vampire Diaries.
I watched that briefly, and then it got old.
Nice.
V, that was they tried to reboot it. I enjoyed several episodes of the first season, and then I got tired of it.
Fell flat.
Yeah, kind of.
Let me see what else do they have. Well, let's see. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah,
that's one.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Show.
After the Final Act, Fairy Tale.
Are we only talking about anime now, Arturo?
Well,
I'm looking for
different ones. Oh, the Cleveland show.
I've never heard. Do you know of any shows off the top of your head, D, that came out in 2009?
It's interesting because I almost feel like I think I was in college at this time, so it's almost like the majority of stuff we were watching was like reality TV stuff.
Right.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I don't like, and some of that was competitive, so not necessarily just crazy stuff, but we get together in the what was it, the little gathering space in the dorms, and it's like, oh my gosh. So of course it was kind of like a common thing. But some of that was also competition. Like I love The Amazing Race and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, those types. Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun.
I mean, the only ones that I know is the anime portions, sadly.
I never even pulled up the IMDb of shows, because I'm more like, it's very rare that I prefer to talk about shows. I prefer to talk about the movie side.
It's like the only two that I recognize here is and of course Vampire Diaries for the live action portion, but the rest is just anime. That's it. I could bring up. Huh? Oh.
I was just talking to Ahmed. Bye. Let me know when the audio's ready, because tomorrow's Wednesday. I got to upload tomorrow.
I guess the one thing I could bring up is these two documentaries that came out in 2009 that I watched, or ones that did and I watched later. Well, there was World War II in HD, and then there was World War II Apocalypse, the one that's like only in color, shows real footage. It's just a narrator. It's got sound effects, music, and that's it. That came out in 2009. Really good documentary.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because it seems like a lot. I've never been a huge I guess I've never been a huge primetime television watcher, and a lot of these are kind of like primetime network shows. And I think, not even just the reality TV part. I just think even if I wasn't watching that stuff, there wasn't a lot of primetime stuff that I was watching then, and then I was a lot more of a movie person then. I think my expansion or appreciation of television has kind of increased as we've gotten more of the streaming and kind of
I was gonna say
options that we have now. I think it's a little more interesting. Like I said, I'm not a primetime guy, but all the different shows that we have with some of these platforms, I think there's a lot more opportunity for me to enjoy those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never that too much primetime, except for the two shows I'll mention, the NBC comedy Thursday night. Two of my favorite shows came out this year, Community and Parks and Rec.
Oh, Parks and Rec. Okay. Yeah, I've certainly heard that a lot. Heard of that a lot.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
Like The Office with the way they talk to the camera sometimes. And kind of documentary style. And it's just kind of a more lighthearted Office. But still the same type of humor if you like that type of humor. So I really like that show. And Community is even more, it's not talk to the camera, but it's almost more it's just a really creative comedy show. It's in the similar vein of that type of humor, I guess. As those other shows. But okay, those are two of my favorites. I watched them.
Yeah, I'm actually not even looking at the list. I'm just watching Dragon Ball
Z Kai came out.
Okay, Dragon Ball Z. There's always a Dragon Ball Z.
Surprisingly, my sister has gone into Dragon Ball.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay,
not
well that's
joking.
she's getting into things that she hated on so much.
Yes, like
Like
Fortnite.
Fortnite. It's crazy.
Yeah, Fortnite.
Oh no! Her and her fiance play that every
That's
day.
is that what they're playing in the background that she's
Yes,
laughing about?
they are.
Oh.
They're playing out right now while we do this.
That's funny.
That's fine. I bet I killed him.
Well,
I
you
play it
have
every
them, I
day.
mean, because Fortnite's like cross-play from Switch to
Yeah, you should play them
regenerating the
sometime.
console.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit end broadcast. We can chat
we gotta
after,
say
but
adios
I
to
don't want
everybody on the
StreamYard
chat.
to like kick us off or anything.
We
So
got to say adios to the people in the chat
yes,
room.
thank you to
Good night,
everybody who
everybody.
stopped
Happy
by.
New Year.
This was
Feliz
absolutely
Navidad.
awesome.
Feliz
We'll try to have
Navidad.
maybe the
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
we'll try to have maybe if we can get one a month done, we could get through the 2010s. And then Simon suggested a good idea for some stuff in December of next year. So maybe we can try to do that. But I'm going to hit end broadcast
Feliz
just in case.
Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Happy New Year to everybody. And we'll
Feliz
see you all next
Navidad.
year. Okay, all right. Bye.